I don't know. Jastin, we're going with you. It's your movie tonight, so we're going with you. Jastin, A through Z.
M as in mother.
So something that people typically eat with milk is cereal. And I heard something controversial about you and cereal last week, Jastin. You've never had Cocoa Puffs or Cocoa Pebbles?
Nah.
How did you get away eating Fruity Pebbles, but never had the Cocoa Pebbles?
This is going to sound weird, but I never liked the way they looked. Like
Pebbles?
Just looking at them on the box. They didn't really appeal to me. I don't know. Like chocolate cereals never really appealed to me that much. And maybe that was because my parents weren't fans of them. They never bought them, you know. I think the closest one to like a chocolate cereal I tried was the Cookie Crisp, like the little chocolate chip cookies.
Justin, I hate to break it to you. In the cereal world, that is not considered a chocolate cereal.
Like I said, that's the closest thing.
Not even a Reese's Puffs
to it. No, I wouldn't have eaten.
I never had Reese's Puffs or the Cookie Crisp either.
I don't know how you guys ever.
It's just something. And I was telling my friend, there's just something about like, I don't think chocolate. That feels more like a dessert than a breakfast to me. Like, and I get it, blah blah, chocolate milk, but I don't typically want chocolate for breakfast. That for me, that's a dessert. For me, that's something at the end of a dinner. I'm not waking up going, I need some Reese's Puffs. I need some chocolate, something.
Now, what if it's like a chocolate donut or something?
That's true, but I don't even really, I'm not big on chocolate donuts either, though.
Okay, fair enough.
So I get the argument of, well, that's not true. There are chocolate things at breakfast time, but I've never been one to subscribe to that. I like my bacons. I like my eggs. I like my oats. I like my oatmeal. I like those things. To me, those are breakfast things. I've never been like, oh, I need chocolate. So when it came to cereal, I love Fruity Pebbles, but Cocoa Pebbles never even looked. When I look at the box, they just look like these brown rocks in a bowl. They just never appealed to me. I never even asked to my parents to buy them or wanted to even try them. Like they never even appealed to me to try.
They vaguely look like coffee beans or something.
Yeah. Like they just don't look delectable, man. Like even when you just look at the box, they look nasty.
They look like Cocoa Pebbles. They
and
look
I could
like
be wrong about it,
chocolate.
you know? And I mean, I could be wrong about it. I could try some. And now my friend is like, I'm going to make you try some. So I'm going to have to eat them eventually. And I may eat them and go, you know what? They're pretty tasty. These are pretty good. But the look of them never sold me. So I just never tried them.
I mean, I get it. So you tend to just lean towards more of a fruit flavored cereal.
Yeah.
I get that. I tend to go towards very plain cereals. My favorite cereals tend to be rather plain. Or they're just
so like Rice Krispies.
Oh, I'm talking about regular ass Cheerios.
Yeah, I like regular ass Cheerios too.
I'm talking about Crispix. I love Crispix.
What about Pops?
Crispix are really good.
So that's a no to corn pops.
The corn pops are fine. They're fine.
They're all right. I think they're in the middle.
I mean, they're more of like the plain type cereal. I was just wondering if that's included.
No, I'm talking about those wheat and rice cereals mainly. I mean, technically, like a corn Chex. I'll eat a corn, but I'll eat any kind of Chex. You give me a rice Chex, give me a corn Chex, give me a wheat Chex. I'll eat any of the Chexes. I also really just like Life cereal. When I would want to get crazy with Life cereal, I'd get the maple brown sugar Life, and I'd mix it with the cinnamon Life, and just go to town like I'm Mikey.
That does sound good, though.
He really likes it.
No,
yeah, I do a lot of the wheats too. I like Wheaties.
Yeah, Wheaties.
I like regular Cheerios,
but I also like regular cornflakes. I like shredded wheat. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll eat some frosted shredded wheat, some frosted mini wheats, but I will also just eat shredded wheat, where it comes in the little 2 brick pouches that you got to break up into the milk. I'll eat that. And I'm talking about with no sugar added. I will eat it as is. And just be completely fine. That's why, like, whenever you were like, oh yeah, some like Raisin Bran and some Cheerios, I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Because it's just, you can do the flavored versions, which is your Raisin Bran Crunch, which is delightful, and a Honey Nut Cheerio. But I'm also like, oh, I could get some regular ass Raisin Bran and mix it with some regular ass Cheerios.
Yeah, it's very nice. And he was ragging on me, my friend. He was like, man, like Raisin Bran is senior cereal. Like you said, apparently you're just old as dirt if you like cereals like that. Like who's eating those Jastin Wheaties and stuff like that? He's like, man, it's all about the Frosted Flakes and
I mean, I know who you're talking about.
He likes the heavy sugar stuff.
And we don't have to throw him under the bus by saying his name. But I'll say this. He is a youngin'. He is younger than us. He's not, in the grand scheme of things, that young. But he's young.
No.
He's young enough to be almost from a different generation. Because, like, I mean, it sounds like, when he was growing up, the people that would buy groceries in his household would ask him what cereals he wanted.
This is a fair point. Yeah.
I didn't get that luxury. I got whatever the fuck was bought. Like, my introduction to, like, the crazy flavored cereals was like my parents going, I'll buy this for us. And then, hey, for the kids, I'm going to buy those bags of Molto meal cereals. Those bags they're like, hey, it tastes just the same, but it's $1 less. And it never tasted the same. Yeah, those cereals. Those were the cereals that I had to eat at that point. And my parents were always of the like of going, it tastes the same. And I'm like, yeah, but you won't eat it. They're sitting there eating their nice brand named box cereals. So even then at that point, when I was like allowed to more or less eat, flavored or crazy or like more kid oriented cereals, I had the gross versions of it. So if I wanted to eat good quality cereal, I had to eat the adult cereal because that's the shit that was in the boxes. That's why, to this day, if you go Sterling, you want some plain ass Crispix with no sugar? I'll go, fuck yeah. Because that was my escape from weirdly flavored cardboard in a bag.
Yeah, you really haven't lived unless you try those bargain bin cereals that they acted like.
Do you remember
same.
those commercials, Jastin? When that guy is doing the fucking duck walk at the bottom of the aisle, like, hey, you just got to look down here.
It tastes the same as all those other ones.
I have never been
brands.
lied.
I think that was the term back then. It tastes just like all the leading brands.
Yeah, I have never been lied to more in my life than by that guy. You can take every fucking politician that has been alive in my lifetime, and they've never lied to me as much as that motherfucker did walking at the bottom of the cereal aisle. Not a single one of those things tasted the same. Like, all right, since you never had Cocoa Puffs, Jastin, you never got to realize like good Cocoa Puffs, and they would turn your milk into good chocolate milk. And it was all delicious, right? You'd eat the whole things. And then you never got to eat Multi-Meal Cocoa Puffs that tasted like chocolate for less time than a piece of fruity striped gum had flavor. If you looked at your cereal if you poured the milk too hard into the bowl, it would wash away the flavor. And somehow, the flavor wouldn't go into the milk because your milk didn't have any good flavor in it either afterwards. It just retained the cardboard flavor of the little balls. It's like the chocolate flavor would magically evaporate. And it was horrendous.
No, I may not get it with the chocolate, but I do get it with the Honey Nut because the Honey Nut O's, I still remember the name of them because they traumatized me. The Honey Nut O's were just like that. You bite them, and for a few seconds, they would you would taste the honey nut, and it would just go away. And then the milk at the bottom, the after milk, as I like to call it, was freaking gross. It was gross. I couldn't even drink it.
It's because it didn't get the flavor of this, like of the flavoring of the cereal. It got the flavor of the cereal.
It just tasted like something designed to disgust you.
See,
like some scientists thought of it all together and said, this will be the grossest thing when a person tries to drink the milk. And they made it.
My theory behind all multi-meal cereals, because they tasted okay for the very first bite, was the fact that they did that to trick parents into thinking that they weren't lying to us. So like if you were like, no, it doesn't taste the same, your parent would take that first bite, go, nah, it tastes the same. And then you would be stuck with the rest of the bowl tasting like garbage. But it was just scientifically engineered to have one good bite per bowl. And you just had to hope that was your bite.
It's like you said, it's just straight up deception. It's just like, oh yeah, it tastes like the other leading brands, but we didn't tell you for how long. We just said it does. So that means we can lie to you. We didn't tell you how many seconds. We just said it kind of tastes like them.
And I loved the fact that they didn't ever try to rip off the healthy cereals. Like there was never a multi-meal Crispix. Could you imagine a multi-meal Crispix? It'd probably taste the same, but it would get soggy. Unlike a Crispix that was always crispy. I always tried to push that shit to the limits, dude. I'd sit there for like an extra 5 minutes not eating my Crispix to see if I get soggy Crispix. And I think that the secret was just in the seam because it's half rice and half corn. And I think it's the seam of the cereal is where they hide the secret crunch magic. I'm not gonna lie, I really want to eat some Crispix right now. Sounds, as Jastin would say, delectable.
They did have crisp rice, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sure did. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
This person that shall not get named, I just think, he just doesn't appreciate just good quality, fine cereals.
I think he's a sugar dope fiend because he said he would add sugar to his Frosted Flakes. who in their right mind would need to add sugar to Frosted Flakes? He said, I would add sugar to them. And I'm like, are you serious? I didn't even believe him when he said that. Do you know how sugary Frosted Flakes are?
By chance, does he just have diabetes right now? Is he just sitting there like a Wilford Brimley, just sitting there with his diabetes?
He might as well. I was amazed by that. I was like, how in the world could you add more sugar to them? So that just let me know, okay, he's just all about the sugar, and he likes Super Golden Crisp, and
a lot of those cereals I could eat a bowl of, and that's it. I could eat a bowl. I could never eat a Sterling bowl, which is way bigger, but I could eat like a regular, like recommended serving of a bowl. You know, like the 1 cup of cereal with 2/3 of a glass of skim milk or whatever the fuck, it says and shit. I could do like those with that. The one like sweet cereal that I could just probably destroy a box of. I feel like most people feel this way. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, that's
I
top tier.
could just destroy a box of that.
Yeah.
That is some secret magic shit right there. But I mean, no, like when you said that though, Jastin, like, yeah, Raisin Bran Crunch is top tier cereal to me. I like the little honey oat clusters that you get in the crunch that puts it just like a little notch above a regular Raisin Bran. But, dude, you know what one of my favorite things to do is when you're at a hotel and you get that free Continental and they got that big old bin of Raisin Bran and you got to just turn the little knob and it just gives you a bowl of raisin. Oh, man, that's so great.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
That shit was made
Anytime
for Raisin
they have
Bran.
Raisin Bran, I'm like, yes, they have RB. Yes.
Like, I don't buy cereal like that. I don't eat cereal like that. But you put me at a continental breakfast, my ass eating some damn Raisin Bran. Because they all got it. Yep. I think they legally have to. I think for it to be a continental breakfast, Raisin Bran has to be there.
And normally it's Raisin Bran, Cheerios, and something else. But those are like the two, it's almost like those are the two goats. And then it's everything else. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like Rice Krispies is in there a lot.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, those 2 scoops of raisins. How do you hate raisins? There's 2 scoops.
They don't like them. They don't like them. I was like, what's wrong with raisins? They were like, we don't like raisins on that. I was like, you don't like oatmeal raisin cookies? No. You don't like, muffins with raisins in them? They were like, no. I was like, well, what about the California raisins? They would sing. And then he was like,
they probably don't even know
that's not a reason to like raisins, Jastin. It's the California raisins.
I mean,
and I was like, but
it kind of is.
That's every reason to like raisins.
I mean,
that's also the most Jastin reason to like raisins.
No.
What about the little lady on the little box of the Sun-Maid?
Sun-Maid. You're right. Sun-Maid. The Sun-Maid. It is the Sun-Maid raisins.
Yeah, yes. The Sun-Maid. That little lady is so sweet. She's just such a beautiful woman, and she's there with the raisins. How do you not like raisins?
I'm not going to lie, Jastin. I don't eat raisins all that often. One thing I do eat almost every day is I do eat craisins. I do love me some cranberry raisins. But I'm also not going to lie. If you sit there gave me one of those little Sun-Maid boxes of raisins, I'll throw that back real quick. I'm not going to turn down raisins. I like the tartness of a craisin. I like that little bit of tart to it. But like you said, Jastin, like oatmeal raisin cookies to me is probably one of the most underrated cookies out there. I think people hate on them, and I don't get why. I'm like, you get that oat texture, which is delightful, and you get that the little bursts of raisin. And to top it all off, what seals the deal is that delicious cinnamon flavor.
Yeah.
How do you not like that? I'm one of those people that like you grab a cookie. You know, those people that grab it and they're like, I thought it was chocolate chip. It's oatmeal raisin. I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, oh, it's chocolate chip. And then I take a bite and I go, it was oatmeal raisin. Yay. Thank you.
See,
You're that person that people want at parties to be like, oh, somebody's going to bring the cookie we don't want, but you'll have all of it.
Oh, I can't tell you how much I love a cookie tray because everyone else stays away from the oatmeal raisins.
That is true.
And I'm just like, somebody brought me a bunch of cookies. Just me.
Just for me. I don't understand, man. But yeah, I was in a car of people about his age. We were all going to this game, and I couldn't get, and none of them, they were all selling raisins, man. All of them sold on raisins, just said they were gross. And I couldn't convince them. I mean, if the Sun-Maid can't convince you.
If the California what do you mean that's not enough reason to have you ever seen a raisin play a saxophone?
Exactly. Like, the California raisins were so talented. They were so cool. I just don't understand. Like, he was like, that is not a reason. He waved his finger at me. That is not a reason, Jastin, to like something. The California raisins.
I don't think.
But I disagree.
I just don't think.
I vehemently disagree.
I think he just, is of the age that just, advertisements didn't work the same on them. Because, like,
I guess they don't.
By the time he was a person, Ronald Reagan had already kind of destroyed advertising and allowed companies to target children with advertisements. Before then, it was illegal to target children with ads. So, of course, Ronald Reagan had to go and destroy all that. But I bring all that up because of the beauty of what the California raisins were. They were mascots that did play to children. But to get them to eat raisins, oh no. But also, they were meant to play to anybody. It was a marketing gimmick that was meant to delight your grandmother as much as it was the 3-year-old. It was meant to target the whole family. And like I said, to eat raisins. There are worse things in the world that you could target to kids than, raisins. But yeah, that was what they were targeting for. And then he's growing up in the age when they're just like, hey, this is like, depending on what channel you're on or what time of day it is, every single advertisement is shoving it down your throat for you, for kids. Hey, it's this toy, it's this toy, it's this show, it's this toy, it's this show. And I think just he was desensitized to all of that. The way that like really good advertisements used to work. I'm not advocating for people to smoke, but I'm just saying there is a reason why they outlawed Joe Camel. Because we as a country used to be way better at actually advertising.
Yeah, Joe Campbell was raw.
Dude, cool as shit.
Joe Campbell was cool.
And we should not be saying that. It is for death sticks. But fuck, he was so cool. He's so damn cool.
He's just like one of those advertising like character icons. Like that's how I look at the Sun-Maid. Like to me, she's an icon. Like I didn't see a lot of commercials with the Sun. It wasn't like the Sun-Maid was like, eat these raisins, but she was never on a commercial, I don't think. Or maybe she was, but I don't remember it. But that red box with the Sun-Maid on it is just I just have fond memories of seeing that. I think the first thing of raisins I ever ate was the Sun-Maid. So I feel like she's an icon. She's like, what's the little circus looking box with the animal cookies or whatever?
Yeah, it was just animal crackers.
Yeah, animal crackers. She's like that. To me, she's like one of those. She's just an icon.
Or the Quaker?
Or Quaker, yeah.
And when there was all the controversy behind them wanting to change Aunt Jemima, what told me people were just trying to have issues with it because of they wanted to, they wanted to act like it was woke cancel culture and all that shit, and not for a real reason. It was because none of them brought up the iconic ads when they would have her. So I'm like, oh, you're not actually caring about the advertising symbol that it was. You're just thinking you're fighting some weird woke cancel culture battle. You're full of shit. They can get rid of Aunt Jemima if they want to. But it's also the same with Mrs. Buttersworth. Nobody brings up those ads. She used to talk to me about putting her on the pancakes.
Yep.
The Green Giant. He used to tell me to eat vegetables.
Green Giant.
Do you remember the Keebler elves?
Yeah, the Keebler. Yeah.
They were producing all these cookies in a tree. I felt bad if I didn't eat them because they worked so hard. They're sitting there doing like child elf labor in a tree, like little elf sweatshops. I had to eat them so their work wasn't in vain.
Man, the Keebler elves. That's great.
But I mean, we really had just the imagery that we had for some of our advertising stuff was just iconic. Like the California raisins. You could just, like you say, California raisins, and you could picture at least one of those motherfuckers in your head right away.
Yeah.
I mean, also, they were wearing shades, guys. Come on.
Yeah,
they were too cool
shades.
for school.
Yeah, they look so cool. And they would sing. And my friend said, Jastin, if you like raisins because of the California raisins, that is the dumbest reason to like raisins.
Bullshit.
They say you should like them because you like the way they taste, not because of the California raisins.
Bullshit.
And I was sitting there going,
how?
But they sang songs.
That same guy,
same
guy that's like, oh, but you haven't eaten Cocoa Puffs. Why was he eating Cocoa Puffs? Because that fucking bird on that box. Why is he sitting there eating Fruity Pebbles? Because was Fred and Barney on the fucking box. Don't give me none of that shit. He's eating tricks because he's trying to keep it away from a rabbit.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
That it worked on them. You know it did.
He's sitting there going, I got to eat these tricks so that rabbit won't steal them. That's what he was doing with his sugar cereal. He's all sitting there going, I want to grow up to be a tiger, so I'm going to throw extra sugar on my Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, some of the cereal icons are all raw too. I liked them all. The Trix Rabbit, Silly Rabbit.
Do you remember when Cookie Crisp was a wizard?
Huh?
Do you remember when Cookie Crisp was a wizard?
Really?
Yes. So
I
you
don't think I remember that.
You just remember the dog and the robber. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Cookie
I
Crisp
don't remember that.
Did used to be a wizard. He had a little cookie wand.
You remember Frankenberry?
Oh, yeah.
Count Chocula?
No. Yeah, it was Frankenberry, and then wasn't it also Boo Berry?
I think so.
Yeah, they were so unimaginative. You had Frankenberry and Boo Berry. Come on. We were so easily tricked. Snap, Crackle, Pop.
Count Chocula. I stayed away from them. Like I just the chocolate, man. I just wasn't big on it. So I never tried Count Chocula. They look kind of good.
But we also had Snap, Crackle, Pop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, whatever that leprechaun fuck's name was for Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
Toucan Sam. Can't forget about no Toucan Sam.
Just follow your nose.
We've talked so long about cereal.
We did.
I want to bring up one other thing. We'll bring up this. I've got another major thing that it's going to take a ton of time. We'll do it on the next one. That's fine. But I do want to bring up David Fincher, very talented director. Everybody loves him. Is in talks for another show on Netflix. A lot of people loved his Criminal Minds or whatever the fuck that show was. Not Criminal Minds. Murder Brains or whatever it's called.
Mindhunter.
Yeah, Murder Brains. But people like that show, right? All this other stuff. David Fincher, right? But he's working on another show for Netflix. He is in talks to do a series on Netflix that is an American version of the Squid Games. And I can't think of a worse idea in the world.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Just watch regular Squid Games.
Yeah.
Or instead of producing, like, I get it. If you're really wanting to target those people that just can't stand hearing a foreign language and having to possibly read a tiny bit or whatever, I don't know. How about you, instead of putting a whole new show into production and all the money that would require, how about you just spend, I don't know, a 1/10 of that to just do a really good dub? To just do a really high quality dub.
Yeah.
How about that? Because you know what I don't need to see? An American version of the Squid Game.
I sure would like another season of Mindhunter, though. That's what he should really do.
Like, it's just really weird. We're about to get Squid Game season 2 this year. And they're like, but what if we do American Squid Game? I'm like, but also, I could just watch Squid Games. What are they really going to do that will Americanize it? Really? Like, oh, I'll just get to see some white people falling through glass? I'll get to see some white people break cookies? Like, why?
Yeah, it seems unnecessary. And like, and Squid Game, at least the first season, obviously, was so good. And it's like, I'm just anything you try to do is going to, that's like when they tried to do an American version of Broadchurch. And my understanding is it was not good. So I'm just like, why? Why do we need, just do something original? Do something else. I don't know.
Well, they say football is a copycat league, but so is Hollywood.
Oh, nothing is more copycat than Hollywood. Nothing.
So, somebody's going to try. There's too many people interested in it. It's a very trendy thing to watch. There's a lot of people that it got such a reception for the last one. And there are a lot of people looking forward to season 2. So, they have to try. They have to try to see if they can get some residuals off of that,
I mean,
but I don't, but I'm not excited about it.
See, I would get that. I would get this whole thing if this was, I don't know, 2006, where there's a chance that Squid Games was the #1 show in Korea, and I had never seen it because there was no way to actually watch it in America. Okay. But when you debut the show as Korean in America, and it's one of the bigger shows your platform's ever had, I think it's just fine. I don't really think you're going to find a new market. How many people are really going, I can't watch Squid Games because of all the Korean in it? Like, how many more of them are you really going to get to justify the millions and millions of dollars you're going to spend on this show? Because, I mean, unless somebody comes out there and says it is all the poignancy and elevation that Squid Games brought, but it truly is a different flavor. Like, it is truly worth watching this. Like, they both work. It's just like, it's like eating like Lay's chips and Lay's barbecue. Like, they're both good chips, but they are different flavors. Maybe. But, I mean, it has to be almost everybody. Like, you know what I mean? I had to have to hear that from so many people for me to probably give that a chance. I want to watch Squid Game season 2. I don't give a fuck about no American Squid Game. they're already trying to do real life Squid Game on Amazon with Mr. Beast. And, apparently him almost killing some people and stuff. So that's fantastic. We won't even get into all the other bullshit of all that. But, the fact that Amazon and him are getting sued for unreasonable working conditions for his American, it's not even his Squid Game remake. No, they were doing a game show that is essentially Squid Games with other shit, but not dying. And they were filming it. And yeah, so we're getting that also. I don't know. I just don't understand this, guys. I don't.
Yeah. And it feels like it's just going to kind of take away from it. Oh, look, he's dead, but he's not. Or I don't know. Like the stakes is going to become money or what the people could win or cars or some vacations or something. I don't know. I just feel like it loses a lot of its luster if it's put in a acceptable American form. I mean, it's not even going to be the same. And then will it even feel like its own fun show, or will it just feel like a cheap ripoff of the show? If they're just making references constantly and like, oh, this person's dead, but not really. Well, how do you feel now that you're dead? That you're out of the game?
What games?
I don't know. I wonder about that.
Are there any games that they could play in the American version that would truly be worth it? That'd be different. The whole red light, green light would be the same, right? It'd just be a little white girl. Right? It'd be a little blonde haired white girl, right? Let's be real. It's a little blonde headed white girl standing up there shooting lasers at people. I mean, that cookie challenge, I guess, maybe, because that style of cookie is not something we do here. But I mean, maybe. But they could do slightly more American shapes. Like a bald eagle could be the hard one.
The American flag. Yeah.
I mean, tug of war is an American game. Also, I mean, I'm just saying it's a game we also do in America. The jumping on glass panels, I mean, I don't think that that's a game that's uniquely specific to Korean culture. So it'd probably, that'd be both. Maybe that marble game they're playing at the end. What would be the, not the, what would be the American version of that?
Jax. Is that American?
I don't think anybody plays Jax, though.
Yeah. I don't know. What would be the equivalent of that?
Oh, they could be playing Pogs.
Pogs. Yeah.
Oh, man. Pogs. Well, now you're taking it way back.
But then even then, on top of that, the Squid Game itself, the game at the very end. But that's not an American game. So what would be the American version of that? What would be the American version of the game that he loses over and over again till he makes it on the show? The whole throwing the thing down to flip the other one that they're playing at the beginning. What's the American version of that? I wonder if at one point they played dodgeball.
That's actually just the Squid Game at the end is just dodgeball.
Just two people playing dodgeball. Or laser tag. I don't see the point. I just want to bring that up because I heard that news and I was like, that sounds dumb.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that idea.
Are you guys ready to get a robot on?
Ready.
Yep.
Somebody will listen to me.
Nobody knows anything but you.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Come on.
Cinema Slayers.
Hey, Cinefans, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. I'm Sterling, and as always, I'm joined by Heather and Jastin. And tonight we're going to talk about what we liked, didn't like, and everything in between with the movie Wild Robot. We will go spoiler-free recommendations and scores, and then into a more spoiler-centric section with time codes and description to allow you to jump around in both audio and video formats. And with all that, because it was his movie, because he's the one that requested it multiple times to be put on the Wheel of Fate, and it won. Jastin, what are your spoiler-free thoughts about this here Wild Robot?
Y'all are going to say it was worse than Tarot. Might really be upset. You did it to us again, Jastin. You made us watch a terrible movie. No, but all joking aside, I really liked this movie. I thought it was really good. Probably of the movies I've seen in 2024, it might be my favorite one, or at least one of my favorite ones. I think it was that good. I think well, first of all, the movie just looks incredible. Like I got to catch it in the movie theater, and for anybody that's seen it or gonna see it, I think that was the way to experience it, because it really, really does look amazing. Like, it's really amazing just where animation is going. And it seems like with every year these animated movies are released, and there's just seems to be one or two that come out and they just look so amazing. And you're like, man, will we ever get better than this? And then the following year, something comes out and it looks even more amazing. Well, now this movie has kind of stepped up to the plate, and man, it really does. There are just some breathtaking shots. There are some moments that just look incredible, just with how they were able to do landscapes, how the wild robot looks, the animals, just where we were on this island. I mean, it just looks fantastic. So there's just a lot of like fantastic shots, fantastic scenes, everything like that. Another thing that really stands out in this movie is the voice acting, and not like in the typical way. Like, typically when we talk about voice acting in an animated movie, you're talking about people, and the reason why they're voice actors is because you recognize their voice, you can tell it's that person, and a lot of their personality and performance goes into whatever the animated character is that we're looking at. Like Woody in Toy Story. Well, when he talks, you can't, obviously it's Tom Hanks. And obviously, and even some of his mannerisms and the way he acts and the way he reacts to certain things, it's Tom Hanks acting as this character. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a lot of times what Tom Hanks would do if he was actually playing the character and you were actually looking at him on screen. If he was dressed in a Woody costume playing Woody, you could see him doing the exact same things that the toy is doing in Toy Story. And that's fine. I mean, I love Tom Hanks's performance in those movies. But what's interesting about this one, and I think where this one separates itself, is I was looking out to hear Lupita's voice in this. And to me, she sounds completely different as this robot. Like, she sounded way different. It felt more like she was voicing another character, not just her typical voice playing an animated character. And I think that that deserves some attention and some recognition and deserves a distinction because because this robot, like, and don't get it twisted, she wasn't just disguising her voice. The robot is very interesting to play here because because it's a robot. So she has to have a certain tone. She has to sound dry, but at times there has to be different levels of the dryness of the robot. Like she still has to sound robotic, but when the robot sounds dry when it's uninterested is not the same as the robot sounding dry when it's invested in something or when it's trying to think about something or when it's reacting to something. So her tone and dialect and everything just kind of had to like change constantly to sort of fit what this robot would do and this sort of advanced analytical mind of this robot. And I think she really captured that. And what she did was really cool. I mean, there were even people that were saying that I didn't even recognize her voice as this robot. And I think that that's pretty cool. But the same can be said for some of the other people, like Pedro Pascal as this fox, this Fink fox. He didn't sound like his typical self either, I didn't think. I mean, I think I heard him maybe a little bit more than I heard Lupita, but really, he sounded pretty different too. It wasn't the typical, okay, I'm coming in here to play Pedro Pascal as this fox voice. It definitely wasn't that. He sounded different. He had a different voice entirely. You could tell that a lot of work was done to alter his voice to sound like a different character. They didn't just want Pedro Pascal voicing the fox. So I think that's really cool. And if other Hollywood animators and animated movies are out there, I want to see more of this. This was really interesting. I think this was really cool that, yeah, they have these star-studded people in here, but they challenged them in this movie to sound like a different character. And I think that that's really cool. I think that that is one of the things that helps this movie stand out versus other animated movies. You actually had stars whose voices we recognize and whose voices we often hear and we know how they sound and we know how they act, but they were tasked with trying to play something completely different from how they typically act and sound. And I think that they both nail that in this. And there are other characters that I'll definitely expound on in spoilers and everything, but everybody in this voice cast did really well. But I think even with all of those strong things, the animation, the voice casting and everything like that, what really makes this movie good is just what it was trying to say and the heart of it. And we've seen this story about families and what is a family? How do you define a family? How a family is not just where you come from, but sometimes it's the people you meet along the way and your friends. And, this whole thing about defining what a family is to you and how it's not always the same definition for everyone. We've seen plenty of stories like this. We've seen stories where you've got a unlikely group of people that are all in relationships together or come together for a common cause, or they don't seem like a pair, but we go through the journey and everything and we find out, this unlikely pair of characters is perfect for each other. We've seen these kinds of dynamics before, but I think that the story was told very well. I think that when it was trying to be heartfelt, it was. I didn't find, and even when it does try to pull at the heartstrings and everything, I think it did it at the right times. It had a very good sense of timing. I didn't feel like, this movie is just manipulating or everything like that. I think it really was a very good story about what family is and where you come from and finding yourself. In a lot of ways, it is it's a coming of age movie, but it's with a robot and animals. You know, it's got some of that in there too. So, and all in all, I just thought that it was very effective. So, yeah, I had a really good time with this. I thought it was really good, and and it's one of those movies. I think it's an animated movie. Maybe if you saw the previews, you think, oh, that's only a movie for children. But really, it isn't. There was a lot of humor in here, death humor, even, that was sort of played for laughs and was kind of funny. And some of the humor in this is very like dark in a way. It's very dark humor. It's got some dark comedy in it. And I like that too, because it wasn't afraid to do those things. It wasn't afraid to do those things. And most of the time, those things got laughs out of me. Maybe there was one joke that where they probably went a little too long with it. But nothing offensive or anything like that. So yeah, man. So even that stuff is there. It's not just a movie for kids. There's a lot of adult humor in this. There's a lot of like dark humor in this that I think adults will like and understand. So whether you're a parent, I think you can relate to this. If you're a kid, I think you'll like this. Overall, you'll be able to follow the story. Or even if you're none of those things, I think that there's even something in here for you about family and friends and how we define that. So it really is one of those animated movies where you don't have to be 7 years old to enjoy this. I think anybody of any age can enjoy this one. So yeah, overall, checked every box for me for the most part.
Heather, what about you?
I think you made an interesting point about the voice acting that I didn't really think about until you said it, about how they are playing like characters. And until I saw that Lupita was in this movie, I wouldn't have necessarily picked out that was her. But I will say, like, once I knew it was, I was like, okay, I can kind of hear it now that I know. You know what I mean? But it's not something that was stand out like, oh, this is very clearly Lupita. And you're right, because it feels like a lot of these characters, even though it's just voice acting for them, it would be like if it was a movie where they're playing actual characters. Like even Kit Connor, who plays Bright Bill, he's British. He's a British guy. So it's kind of like, it is interesting that you say that, and that makes sense. And like, I mean, this is a who's cast of voice actors. I mean, you got Catherine O'Hara in here, which honestly, I didn't recognize her voice at first. You got Stephanie Sue. Like you've just got, I want to say his name's Matt Berry, the guy from What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah. Like to be fair, he was the only voice I did completely recognize, but it totally worked for the character he played. Yeah. So that is a very good point. Like these aren't just like, you know what, you have this particular sound to your voice that we want for this character. You don't feel like that's what they did. They were just like, who can play this character? You know, who can do a good job playing this character? And the robot voice was very good. It was a very good robot voice. So yeah, that is a very good point that you make. And because I was going to comment on how I did enjoy the voice acting, but it's also because all of these actors that they got are just top notch pretty much. So I should have probably expected that. And yeah, I think that going into this movie, I mean, I didn't know much about what the story of this movie was. I just knew that everything I saw about it was like, oh, you're going to cry like a baby and all these things. And I was not looking forward to that because that's, a taxing thing. But I will say it did pull emotions out of me. But I'm glad to say it wasn't nearly as brutal as I expected it was going to be for me. But I think it was a very wholesome and sweet story. It had a lot of heart behind it. And yeah, it's again not anything we haven't seen before as far as in other even animated films about misfits and fitting in and what it is to be yourself and your found family and things like that are all what this movie is really about. And it's done in a very good way that is, it's different enough to keep you interested. And, but I mean, really, the animation of this movie is crazy good. Like, it's even from that first opening scene of the movie, I'm just like, wow, okay, this is going to be solid if it's like this the whole way through. And it was great animation the entire time and just really beautiful. So I think that is a thing that stands out a lot about this particular animated film for me. And I think it's got a lot of like sentimental things behind it. And I do see why and how it appeals to all ages in a way. And I think that this is a DreamWorks movie, right? DreamWorks, I think, is very good at doing that with their movies. But I'll say, for me, as much as I did, find emotional ties with this movie, it's not one that I'm going to sit there and say, like, this completely, I related to this 100%. I mean, it wasn't like an Inside Out for me or an Encanto for me or anything like that. Not to say that it's a bad movie and not relatable, because I totally see how other people can absolutely relate to some of these characters. So yeah, I think that it's not going to be for me like this is my go-to animated film that I love more than any other, but I definitely understand the hype. I understand why people really love this movie, and it makes me happy for them because we all know how I feel about animated films. It's very hit or miss. I've started to enjoy them a lot more the past several years because I think that they've also just really kicked it up a notch with a lot of their animated films lately. But I'm glad to say that I can be like, oh, I didn't need this movie to emotionally attach to me for me to enjoy it the way that others did. You know what I mean? And so I'm glad to say that I like this movie enough without that as an animated film. So yeah, I think it was a really strong film. Really, yeah, again, very heartfelt and sentimental. Yeah, I think it was really good.
You sons of bitches. You guys are going to sit here and make me be the bad guy. Typical you guys. Just leaving me out to dry to take all the heat. I'm making all that sound worse than what it really is. I like this movie. I don't love it. Animation's fantastic. I disagree with you guys on the voice acting part. Not saying any of it was bad. If I knew who the actor was, I could tell it was them. Like there wasn't a voice in there that kind of threw me for a loop. Some of the kids, like the little baby possums. I don't know those voice actors because I don't know who they are as a person. But like Bill Nighy, Ving Rhames, Mark Hamill, I recognize their voices. Pedro Pascal felt like it was Pedro Pascal just talking with a fox face. I don't know. The voices just clicked for me. I just could tell. Weirdly enough, the reason why I don't like this movie as much as you guys is some of the story elements. I think the movie's a little too oversimplified with some of that stuff. I get that it is a family movie. And maybe that sounds like I'm being ridiculously strict on it for being a family movie. Without getting into spoilers, though, I have weird issues when movies go, the prey animals and the predators are now friends. And now they live happily ever after together and all this other stuff. Like, that really kind of weirds me out and bothers me. And my brain does not like that. Because all it makes me think of is that these predators are going to die. Because they're not eating their friends now. And it's a weird thing that it puts in my brain. And I just don't like it. I get why you're doing it in a family-friendly movie and scenario and all this other stuff. The way my thought processes work, I can't sign up for that. It just causes this weird cognitive dissonance in my head, and I don't like it. There's some allusions to things that have gone on in the planet and stuff like that I'll get in deeper with spoilers, that I also don't necessarily understand how that would work in the context of the world they built. And that bothers me. Like I said, what this movie does, and I think it does for the sake of being a family movie, and I don't want to try to oversimplify that, because I do think there are a lot of complex themes in family movies these days. I do think that this movie has a lot of complex themes that it does handle. You know, I think what Heather was talking about when it comes to like animated movies these days versus like in the past and stuff like that, is when you think of animated movies from our childhood, you tend to think of Disney, and those tend to be your Disney princess movies. You know, princess is in trouble, prince comes save her. There's variations on that. There's subtle differences here and there, but the overall themes of the movies tend to be the same, and they don't tend to have a lot of variations with the way they handle things. And there's not really that many complex and deep interconnected like themology throughout any of that stuff. They tend to be very simple movies that don't do too much outside of certain things. And that's something animated movies are way more likely to tackle these days. You know, you'll have family movies, animated movies that are talking about death and legacy and, you know, generational trauma and all of these crazy themes that, you know, they wouldn't have done much back in the day. Any of the animated movies that did stuff like that, most people end up saying they were traumatized by that when we were a kid. I know so many people my age that just look like they are about to like break down and curl up in a ball on the ground if you bring up the Brave Little Toaster. They're not scared to do that stuff these days. And I'm not, and this movie is one of those movies too. But there's certain aspects of what they've done in here that causes things to not quite line up in my head with it. So I can't enjoy this movie as much as you guys did. And I didn't enjoy this movie as much as you guys did. But I can admit, and I mean, not to say I didn't enjoy it, but no, it was good. Like I said, I like it. I do not love it, though. Recommendations and scores?
Yep.
Recommendations and score.
There you go.
Yeah, I recommend it. I think it's solid. I think, again, like it's a family friendly film. It has some really heartfelt lessons in it, and the animation is going to blow you away. It's just so good. Like, it's amazing. And yeah, I think that it's one of those films that, like, if you watch it as a younger like if you're a kid and you watch it, I can see this being one of those movies that sticks with you, that later you're like, oh, I watched that as a kid and it just really was like a core movie for me. I could see that being a thing. you know, um, as an adult, I still think there's a lot of great things about it, but I think I do fall in that category that Sterling talked about of I do really like this movie, but I don't love it. I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen and I can't wait to watch it again as far as, you know, these types of movies go. But yeah, it's solid, and I do think that I don't think that you're going to find a whole lot you won't like about it. The things that you brought up as your issue, Sterling, like I honestly didn't think about that. So that's totally fair. And if those are things that you do think about, then I get why you might have more of an issue with this movie. But as for myself, I think it was just a wholesome, great story that was told in a good way. I think that they had parts of the story that I guess I didn't expect, like the order of events that happen in this movie, the way that they did for some of it, which wasn't bad. It was just different, which is good because I didn't always know, like they hit the specific beats you think they're going to hit, but I just didn't specifically know in certain moments, like, where's it going to go after this point? So yeah, I think that was good. I think that was a smart move to make because it does make that movie a little bit different in that way than other stories that are like this one. So yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll probably get something out of it. And yeah, if you're looking for a wholesome film, a family film, I think that this would be one that you do enjoy. So I am going to give it 85 flying lessons for migration out of 100.
Based on your score, Heather, we have wildly different definitions of like it, don't love it. Jastin, what about you?
All right. So on my end, I guess I fall kind of more on the other side of both of you. I think this is a great movie. I think definitely it's probably the best animated movie of this year. Be on the lookout come award time. It's going to win a ton of awards. I just think it is. Like it looks too good. The animation is too good. Like I said, it's got some standout voice acting performances. And the story, I agree with what you said, Heather, as far as I could see some younger people watching this. But I feel like this is one of those movies where as a kid, you watch it and you don't get everything that you saw in it. And then you grow up and you watch it with your kids and you appreciate all the things that you didn't see in it when you watched it as a kid. I could see that too. I could see a lot of things going over kids' heads, but them still enjoying it. And then when when they get families or have families, you know, especially if you're like an adopted child, which I am, you know, so maybe that's another thing too. This really hit me in places that maybe it wouldn't hit someone because being an adopted kid, I found some of the messages, especially about family, like super relatable in that way. So that's a thing. But I think that, you know, kids will grow up and they'll watch, and this is one you can watch again and appreciate some things that maybe went over your head that you missed when you watched it as a kid. And I like the story elements. I think all of that was good. And, you know, I get the whole thing about animals interacting, but honestly, like, the way I feel is if we can forgive it in The Lion King, if all the animals can be standing there not eating each other, bowing to a baby lion, then if we can forgive it there, and then you got this other movie, Zootopia, where they're all together living in communities and talking and wearing shirts and stuff.
I have issues with it in that too.
Then we can forgive it, and we can forgive it in this, and we can forgive it in that. Like,
I have issues with Zootopia with it too. I will say this.
Sometimes, okay, that's cool, but what I'm saying is that it gets really, really murky and kind of contradictory with what we allow animals to do in some animated stories and what we don't allow them to do in other animated stories. And it's just kind of back to my rule about sometimes you got to let a movie. Did the story elements and did the plot elements and did the character elements justify what happens in the film? And did it somehow paint the picture and the overall message that the film was trying to convey? And this movie totally does that. Like, it totally does it. Maybe not the same way those other movies do, but it totally does it. And I found it believable in the realm of this make-believe world that they created and this story that they told. I found it believable within the story. So I didn't see any of those things as flaws or that the story didn't justify them. I feel like if I'm looking at everything, every animal, every robot, everything in the movie is a character and characters interacting with each other, every character served the purpose of what this story was trying to execute. So I didn't have any problems with any of that stuff. And then on the end of that, and then I thought that it was just about the right length. You know, I was never bored with this, even when you could say it was, I guess, a slower part of the film where we're just talking or conversational. I thought the dialogue was well written and it was good. And I was with what characters were saying and doing and how they were interacting. And then I thought the third act was pretty cool when it finally gave you the action and I guess the final conflict at the end. I thought all of that was exciting and fun. And I could, dare I say, the animation and the graphics even picked up for some of those scenes because we got to see some really cool visuals in the third act. So I think this movie did everything it needed to do, and it's already kind of getting those accolades, and people are already kind of saying those things about it. And I think it's going to continue to get those things. My only thing is that I just hope more people go watch this movie and appreciate it, because we just got through talking about this American Squid Game coming out and how Hollywood is very copycat. So it's nice when a movie like this comes out that's not a sequel to something, that's not based on, that's got completely original story without these other IPs and all of this kind of stuff. You know, so it's nice to see a new story with new characters and things like that come out. And I just hate when it's not supported like the sequel stuff. You know, of course, I don't think as many people were interested in this as like something like Inside Out. And that's a shame, because if people don't come see movies like this, if people don't appreciate movies like this, if people don't watch movies like this, then we're just going to keep getting sequels. This is why we get more Squid Games. This is why we get more Inside Outs. This is why we get more of reboots. It's because sometimes we don't appreciate the real gems when we have them, when people try and really give us something different from what we've seen in the field. So I really hope that whether a lot of people saw this during its box office time or not, that word of mouth travels, because it's going to win a ton of awards. I hope people go watch it, even if they missed it, after it wins all these awards that I know it's going to win. And hopefully it becomes kind of one of those movies that's like, you know, it was one of those movies that came out and was really good. And hopefully it will justify more people being creative and making movies like this, rather than just regurgitating sequels and stuff with familiar characters that we've already seen. So, you know, maybe I went a little extra long there, but I really want to make a case for this movie. I just don't want it. I think it was that good to me. I don't want it to just be overlooked or just go into the doldrums of movies that were good, but nobody really cared about it, so we moved on. I really want to see more stuff like this be made. It was for all ages, but it was very mature. It was great storytelling, and it challenged some of these actors in this to not just be themselves and do the voices. So I want to see more movies like this. With that being said, we'll go 97. Compromising caves during the winter out of 100.
I agree with a lot of what you said, Jastin. I might not feel as strongly or as highly as you guys do about this movie, but I agree. This is a movie you should watch. This is, at least so far in 2024, it is close to a must-watch. I can't... The only thing I'm really struggling with is, what other animated movies came out this year? Inside Out 2? What else? I don't even remember. Oh, we're going to get Moana 2 this year also.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, because you were talking about like top tier animated movies, and I'm just trying to think of what even came out this year. But I do agree. I think this is a movie you should watch.
Garfield.
Oh yeah, that did. The Chris Pratt Garfield came out this year.
Transformers 1, which I didn't get to watch, but I did hear was really good.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not being fair to that movie, but that came out. I just kind of pulled up a quick reference.
I was
list.
just curious.
Kung Fu Panda 4.
Oh yeah, I forgot to watch that.
Wish.
Oh, yep.
That was the very beginning of this year, I think.
Wasn't there a Despicable Me?
There
Wait,
was
that
a
actually might have been
Despicable
last year.
Me. There was a Despicable Me, Jastin. Despicable Me 8 or whatever it was. Minions again or something. Well, there's a decent amount of animated movies this year. I mean, this has got to be on the short list of the better ones. Even for me not liking it as highly. Inside Out 2 was good, but this one's probably better. I mean, Moana 2, that could be a toss-up.
Yeah, that could be really good. I don't want to cut it short. It could be really good.
But
the first one was great.
I agree with you, though, Jastin, on the fact of I am really tired of people complaining about all the sequels. All the sequels, all the reboots, all the remakes. Well, why does that happen, you dumb motherfuckers? It's because that's all you go fucking watch.
Yeah, you don't watch the shit like this. So, of course, they're going to be like, well, they don't want to see this shit, so let's go back to Despicable Me 5. That's what happens.
Yes. Like, if you don't watch the good shit, you don't watch the new shit, you only go watch the safe properties, that's what happens. Like, you as much as everybody wants movies to be about the art, you can't make no money on everything you do. You've got to make money on what you do, or otherwise you don't have the money to make the new things. If you're just always losing money, you eventually run out. And then nothing gets made. Let's be realistic. Don't be mad that there's a Despicable Me 27 or whatever the fuck it was this year, when none of you motherfuckers were actually going and watching a different sequel that was really good in something like Puss in Boots. We've gotten 2 Puss in Boots movies. both of those movies are singularly better than 95% of all animated movies that ever come out. But why have we only gotten 2? Because they were passion projects and they were loosely tied to Shrek. But they did not make the money that these other things fucking do. We are lucky we got, what is it, The Last Wish or whatever it was. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. We are lucky we got that. We almost don't deserve it. It is a damn near perfect animated movie, and we barely got it. Which, like I said, means we probably didn't deserve it, because why the fuck was it a question on whether or not that would get made? There should have been no question it was getting made, because the first Puss in Boots is also utterly fucking fantastic. You heathens. And I'm scraping with that just for the sheer fact that that's technically antithetical to what I'm talking about, because that is a part of an existing IP. It was also a standalone, unique story. It's like the combination of both of what Jastin was talking about and all this other stuff. That's why I'm bringing it up. But don't complain that we're getting Toy Story 5 and we're not getting another, unique new movie. Toy Story 4 made like $1 billion. I don't know. This movie, I think, has made like 200 million. Why are they going to go back to that? You know what I mean? Like, of course.
Yeah.
Like Despicable Me, even this one, just for the sheer fact that it probably added 27 new Minion memes to the universe. It probably made like $600 million. And this is a better movie. I haven't seen Despicable Me, whatever. This is a better movie. I'm not even trying to shit on Despicable Me. Let's be real. This is a better movie. What is the point of those Minion movies? To sell Minions. That's it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I ain't shitting on none of those people. Hey, Steve Carell, go make your money, dog. That's fine. People got to get paid.
And the Minions are cool. I mean, they're not my thing.
They're so right. Fucking annoying to me.
You don't like them?
Dude,
like all
that little mumble bullshit talk. Oh my God. It's like taking a cheese grater to my eardrums.
Isn't that like your pet peeve is like when things or people mumble and you don't understand them?
Yeah.
Yes, you probably hate them.
I forgot that you don't like that. So you don't like any of that stuff.
You remember that dead motherfucker? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. That
you don't like none of that.
That motherfucker from that Abigail movie that happened to have passed away.
You don't like none of that, huh?
Not trying to disrespect that dead man, but also I'm kind of disrespecting that dead man because I've heard this man talk and never understood a single fucking word he ever said. And I get that that's the point of the Minions, that they talk in Minionese or whatever the fuck you want to call it. No. It's the equivalent of mumbling constantly.
If it makes you feel better, the reason I've never seen those movies is because like I wasn't a fan of that even in like the trailers. I think I've seen the first one, but I don't remember it. Yeah, so I get it. Like they're cute, but they're also like it's too much. It's a little too much.
They're not cute though. They're not. They're not cute.
You don't like it. You like the big old eyes.
No. You know why they're not cute? Because if something's cute, it doesn't annoy the fuck out of you. Part of being cute is not annoying.
That's fair. So
to be fair to back what we were talking about, though, I looked it up. So far, this movie has made about $309 million on a $78 million budget. So that's actually very good.
Okay.
It is
That's
considered a very profitable movie. So good. That's a plus. Because this, like I said, I might not truly enjoy this movie as much as you guys. I am glad that it's getting rewarded, though. Because...
What did Minions make?
Oh, God.
What did they make?
Oh, it was 4. It was only 4? How the fuck is it only Despicable Me 4? I swear we've gotten one of those movies every year since 2009.
I think they're separate Minion-specific movies.
What fresh blue fucking
because
hell
there's
do
the
we live in?
Despicable Me stuff, and then there's Minion
The
stuff, right?
Minions. Yeah.
And then wasn't there like a Mega Mind or something?
Mega
or something
Mind is
like
different.
That? But that's completely different.
Yes.
The Minions aren't
Completely
in that.
different.
Okay.
It's
Same
both
company, but the
DreamWorks.
Minions aren't in
Yes.
it. Okay.
I think there's at least 2 Minions movies.
Yeah. I believe
So-
so.
You want to feel sad about just, the Earth being an existing thing right now? Despicable Me 4 had $100 million budget. How the fuck does it have $100 million budget? But it did. And it made $968,240,710. So damn near $1 billion.
Mumbling all the way to the bank, brother.
A fucking $1 billion. There's a
Damn,
Secret
bro.
Life of Pets too. I forgot a Secret Life of Pets 1 existed. And apparently there's a Secret Life of Pets 2.
Remember that Emoji movie that came out a few years ago?
Shut the fuck up. What in the Jastin are you trying to do here? Quit acting like you're not the person that
Why am I
randomly brings up
catching
shit.
strays for what happens?
Why are you acting like that is not
catching strays?
a trademark move of you, Jastin?
Why am I catching strays for what Halda said?
Jastin, that was not a stray. That was very deliberate. But yes,
Oh, man.
going back to what I said. Yes, do not complain that there's going to be a Despicable Me 5 when it just made $1 billion and this movie didn't. Now, I'm happy that this movie was considered profitable, so maybe DreamWorks will give other movies like this a chance. But also expect Despicable Me 5 before that because it made a fucking $1 billion.
Yep.
You know what's real funny? All these people that are seriously complaining about comic book movies, when they saw Endgame like 5 times in theaters, and it's like the second highest grossing movie of all time because they all went and saw it 5-6 times in fucking theaters. And then they go, there's too many superhero movies. No shit. I can say that. I can complain about it because you know why? I saw Endgame once and I hated it. I still haven't rewatched it. So yeah, I get to complain about it because I wasn't systematically one of those people that fueled the superhero industrial complex like y'all, you motherfuckers.
I was, boy. I saw
I
that
know.
like 8 times.
Yeah, I know. But to be fair to you, you're not complaining that superhero movies are still a thing.
Yeah.
You might not like all the ones that be coming out, but you're not complaining that they exist.
Yeah. I was kind
Uh,
of feeling that Thunderbolts trailer though.
Yeah. I like
but I like
aspects of that.
Yelena, and I like
I'm looking forward to this brand new world.
yeah, both of them.
I like some Sam Wilson. I think he's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I need to finish my recommendation score. Holy shit.
Yeah,
We're
you
still
probably
there.
should do that.
We're still there. And I mean, I get what you're saying, Jastin, that sometimes you got to let movies movie and all this other stuff. There's a spectrum of people though that don't like it when they do stuff like this, Jastin. And I know this because you're gonna get some little fucking kid afterwards that's gonna be like, "But mommy, why didn't the bear eat the raccoon?" And she's gonna go because they're friends, and then the little kid's gonna go, "But the bear has to eat the raccoon." Like, they're just not going to get it. It's not going to, it's because there will be a cognitive dissonance, like it causes cognitive dissonance. I get it. It's the same thing with like Land Before Time. You remember like when all those things were like running around and it's like the 8th one when they added like a little baby T-Rex to the group? Yeah, I didn't like that either because little baby T-Rex should be fucking eating them. I don't get it. And I get what you're saying about Lion King. I don't like it in there either. Fuck the lions too.
Or like the Flintstones. They're just rolling around with dinosaurs.
Oh, don't even get me started on that because too many people act like that shit's a documentary. It bothers me. That creationist
unlocked something here.
That creationist catching strays.
We have unlocked something in Sterling today.
We have.
People acted like they just walked outside where their pet velociraptor.
The dinosaurs were really cool, though. They would help them cross bridges and everything.
If I don't get to own a hyena because it would eat me, motherfuckers didn't get to own raptors. Let's be real. But no, I don't like it in Zootopia either, Jastin. I don't like it. It bothers me. But because I get it. I get that that's not the point of anything they're doing. But I can't get over the idea of what the fuck are they eating then? What is the bear going to eat? He's friends with all of them now. He's going to die, Jastin. He's going to die because he made friends.
I feel like this is why, like, Sterling, I think you like animals more than people in general because you get it. You're like, listen, I'm not here to make friends. I need to survive.
They're infinitely more honest. When an animal goes, hey, you're food, I eat you. I get that. That's an honest relationship.
That's totally fair. Yeah. It's like I'm not trying to lie to you, pretend like I like you when I don't, or whatever, because you're food. That's it.
I don't like it. Like this might be sacrilege, but you remember in Fievel, whenever that little mouse is friends with that cat? I don't like it. That cat should be the fuck of that little mouse, man.
That cat was so nice and friendly, though.
Yeah, how the fuck is it that fat if it ain't eating the shit it's supposed to be eating? That's all I'm saying. It's a big fat fucking cat. It ain't eating its fucking food. It's a lie. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Especially when so much of this movie is like food chain. They dedicate so much time in this movie to the food chain and then just say, fuck it all. No more food chain on Island Z or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't like it.
It was just a truce, Sterling. It was a truce.
Yeah, but
a truce.
How the fuck are they all still alive the next year? The next year comes along and they're still all alive. How?
They made it, brother. Survived it.
But then who the fuck was Leroy the bear eating?
He can be vegan. Raw vegan. Eat fish diet. Come on, dog. You can make it work.
Yeah, but they were running around saving fish. That bothered the man. They came and defrosted a fucking fish. The fuck is this world? I don't like it. I don't like this world. Anyway. 78. 78. Just robots trying to nuke the fuck out of some fucking geese or whatever the fuck those things were, ducks. They were geese, right? Yeah. Man, they brought out attack bots on just some geese. The fuck was that? They went into a full military assault to get rid of some geese. Now, don't get me wrong. All the time by my office, there's a bunch of geese. Geese are dickheads. Like, fuck all geese. Also, I don't like the word geese. I don't.
I love that word.
It sounds like a
Geese.
racial slur. Say it like you're angry at some geese, Jastin. Go, man, fuck those geese. It feels like you're saying a racial slur.
Does it?
Say it and be like, man, fuck those geese.
Like those geese.
See, it feels a little slurry, doesn't it?
I don't know. I like the word geese.
I don't. It feels like a fucking slur. I don't like
When I
it.
play video games, there's a character named Geese Howard, and he's awesome. So I don't know. I like the word. I like it.
I'm fine with
Reminds me of
goose.
geese.
Why is his name Geese Howard? Why is he multiple gooses?
That's his name. He's Geese. He's the leader of the Southtown underworld. And Terry Bogard has to beat him.
What fucking game are you talking about?
Fatal Fury. It's a fighting game.
What game is it?
Fatal Fury. And his name is Geese Howard.
I
Hey,
have,
he looks awesome though. You gotta look him up. He's got slick back hair. He's all big, man. He's pretty badass. Uses counters. He can counter any move that you throw at him if you time it right and hit the right combo. He's pretty badass. He's got a badass theme song that I often work out to.
it sounds
gym.
it sounds like the creators of that game are on the same page I am. And they used his name because it sounds like a slur.
And when you face it with Terry, Terry goes, geese, when he's about to fight.
See, don't tell me it's not a racial slur at that point.
Because he killed his
Don't tell
father.
me that it is not
Geese is a mean
slurry
guy.
when you're just sitting there yelling geese. God, I've never had a word be such a slur and not a slur all at the same time.
Damn.
It
you
just,
don't feel that way about any other like animal names?
I don't know. It's just like anytime, because I went most of my life never actually seeing a goose. Two, they are all the fuck over the place and they are nothing but fucking assholes. And like I said, when you're like, man, fucking geese. And then I like the first time I said it, I'm like, the mouthfeel of that word is not nice. So, anywho. Got distracted again and forgot I didn't Cinescore this up. Now I got to do my little mathematications real quick. Cinescore's at 87. Spoilers?
Yep.
Yep.
Spoilers.
I think they should have spent more time explaining what the fuck was going on in this world. I didn't like that either. They've got these dome cities but all the animals live outside the cities. So much so that if an animal's inside, it's an infestation. But you also don't have any sort of sensors on shit going into your stuff. You have no sensors whatsoever, no detectors, no nothing. A whole flock of geese was able to just go in through your air vents and land inside your fucking biodome and walk around for a good 30 seconds to a minute. What you're telling me that you don't have some squirrels at least? You don't have some rats or something else getting in there? Some blue jays? You know some motherfucking pigeons end up in there. And you have to go into attack mode? You have to go into military robot? That don't add up. But also, why are they? How do they know that they need to download Roz's like memory? When the Stephanie Sue robot's like, "Oh, we need to know what you know, because we knows you know the good stuff. We need it. We want to steal your brain." How do they know that? They have no way of knowing that. They have no way of knowing that she knows special things. But also, what sense does it make that you have to have a beacon to track your robots? I don't have to have a beacon on my fucking phone for you to come find me. You do it internally as a chip. I know this is weird, nitpicky things, but like these are things that are coming into my brain as this movie is going on that does affect my enjoyment of it. Because if this is a futuristic society, why are you being stupider about your technology? I don't like that. Especially when you've got all this fancy technology. Your technology is so fancy that you put yourself in learning mode and sit there for, 87 years. And you're able to learn every language that animals speak. Because you put yourself in learning mode. You're able to learn speech for all animals. But your company goes, we need an external beacon that you have to manually activate. That makes sense. Technologically speaking, that makes no sense. Those things really bugged me. It really did. So much so that I was distracted during the movie. Because I'm trying to watch this movie and I'm trying to make it make sense in my head, and I'm trying to make it make sense in regards to what was happening on the screen and all kinds of stuff, and kind of put my brain all over the place, which isn't always the most enjoyable thing when you're trying to watch a movie, when your brain's just going everywhere else. I did like the relationships, though. I liked the relationship with Roz and little fuckface the goose. And the little Pedro Fox. What was his name? Fink or whatever?
Yeah, Fink and Brightbill.
I liked that. I really liked the Fink character. That was a very unique character. I really liked the baby possums. They were just a bunch of suicidal motherfuckers. Just talking about all the ways they could die. That was a funny joke. I liked the possums. I also liked the laissez-faire attitude of the possum mom. When she's like, no, I only have 5 now. And then the other one's like, oh, I'm back. She's like, never mind. I guess I got 6 again. Hey, that's how it would be in the possum world. Possums really don't actually live that long. Like the average possum out in the wild lives like 2 or 3 years. That's it.
That's very short.
It is. They just have a bunch of babies. And, they don't really get their rabies. But they can give you tuberculosis, kids. So don't go pick up possums as much as I'd want to. I think possums are so cute. They're just like weird, slightly scaly giant rats. I think they're so cute. I want to pet them. But I can't because I might get tuberculosis. So keep that in mind, children. Jastin, what about you? What are some other thoughts? What are some spoilery thoughts you had?
Well, I think just from the outset, like you talked about that opening scene, Heather, man, that was an amazing scene with with Roz first becoming I guess, activating, if you will, and then the just all of those interactions and the whole big chase and mimicking the crab to climb up the side of the mountain and just all of that kind of stuff. Like, I thought that it was really a neat way to showcase what this character is, what the character can do, meanwhile kind of establishing where we were, just being on this uninhabited island and everything like that. And honestly, this film never actually says what time period we're in, what, it doesn't give a year, it doesn't give a month or any kind of indication of how far in the future we are. Is this the same future? Is this even the same Earth? This could be on a completely different timeline. Like, we don't know. We don't know exactly what's going on here. So, yes, while one person can say, this is the future of our world, another person could say, well, not necessarily, because there was no evidence that it actually was. So I think when I'm looking at the robot and what's going on with it, I thought that it was cool, everything that it could do, because it seemed like this robot that basically could perform every single function, almost like a person that a human would need it to perform. And they talked about how they were so reliable that they cut the work of human beings in half and they could do all these amazing things and everything like that. And I didn't make too much of a deal about what the robot could or could not do or anything like that, or how it, because there is no robot like this to compare it to on Earth, like, that can do all of these things. So it's kind of hard to imagine, well, that doesn't make any sense, it would have been like this. It's hard to say because we just don't have this. We don't have anything close to this as far as something that can function. I mean, what like, yeah, we have AI, and that's pretty advanced, and that's kind of cool, but it's not a walking around AI that can analyze animals and understand how to communicate with them, or kind of is so aware of its surroundings, it can sort of adapt and be aware to its surroundings and stuff like that. This is something far beyond human imagination. So trying to make logical, analytical sense of it just seems superfluous to me. Like, I think that and that's what I mean by sometimes you just have to let a movie. If the movie isn't giving you the things to where, if the movie isn't telling you, okay, you need to look at this robot and you're making a comparison to this or a comparison to that, or if it's not giving you a year or a timeline or anything like that, well, then you just have to like be in the universe to understand its rules as it relates to this universe and what's going on in this world that we're in. So I think I can be a little bit more lenient with this because it didn't establish any kind of rules for me to be able to dispute it, per se. It doesn't give you all those details, probably intelligently so, because then you would be making too many comparisons to other things. So who knows, maybe in this timeline, in this world, this robot could interact with these animals, and through communicating with them and interacting with them and them getting used to each other, maybe there could be a new viewpoint that these animals adopt by. Why isn't it possible? I mean, maybe it's not possible here, but were they here? We don't know. There was no mention of a state or it never said we were in Oklahoma. There was no, we weren't in the we don't know if we were in the US. There was no mention of this if this was even the same world that we were on. So who knows? So I just kind of was going by what the movie was giving me. And so in the story of that, I really like that you kind of have this robot that stumbles upon this baby and this egg. And then when the egg is hatched and everything, so and we know about, is it Brightbeak?
Bright Bill.
Bright Bill. Thank you. Sorry. So, and I like the dynamic between Roz and Bright Bill. I liked how that all came about. I liked how there was also this part of the story about how, because of that accident, Bright Bill lost its actual parents. And then you have this robot trying to fulfill a task and be the parent and all the complexities like that and everything. And it was very comparable to that parent that doesn't want to tell a child certain things until they're older because they don't think it's the right time, or withholding information because they don't think they can handle. And I like how the movie sort of addressed both the rights and wrongs of that, of it didn't say Roz was correct for doing that. It didn't say that Roz was incorrect also. I think it talked about how a guardian could think that that's correct, but also how that can also be misguided and misleading, and the importance of honesty. So I think it kind of handled both sides of that well when it got to that point. And I just liked everything that it was talking about. And I also like that, even though, yeah, you have these unlikely animals and this robot together, I like the story of Bright Bill eventually having to grow up and fly away. So there was this whole dynamic of having to let the son or the baby grow up, and then you eventually, as a parent, have to let the baby go. But I also like how within that story, though, it wasn't just about that too, but you also had this Bright Bill was a bird who had smaller wings and they weren't as developed as the other geese, and they saw him as an outcast because he didn't come from the same place they did. And it wasn't just a story about, oh, they should accept him. Bright Bill had to work harder in order to get to where he needed to get to fly like they were flying. I liked that. I like that element of the story. I like how it wasn't just like, oh, you're different and everyone should accept you. I like also telling that story about how sometimes if you want something, because of the way you are, you may have to work a little harder. You may not have the same physical attributes, but that doesn't mean you can't fly like they do. Your journey may be a little bit different. You may have to work a little bit harder, but it'll be worth it if you stick to it. If that's what you really want to do, you got to work for it. I like that little arc that they threw in there for Bright Bill. I like saying that the things you want, you have to work. You have to work for them too. So I like that. He didn't have the, I guess, quote unquote, natural gifts of the other geese, but he worked to earn those gifts. So I thought that was cool. It was also cool to see a parent, Roz, supporting something, even though Roz didn't want Bright Bill to leave, supporting Bright Bill with what Bright Bill wanted to do. So you even kind of had that there about a parent supporting what the child wants to do and, helping them try to get there, even though knowing that probably means eventually that child is going to grow up and leave and everything like that. So even that was there. There's very mature stuff here that I think wrapped up in this story about helping Bright Bill fly that I really, really enjoyed and really, really liked. I just loved all of that. And also the story with Pedro Pascal's character, Fink, and that whole story about, not having that kind of parenting and not being loved in that way and having to find love in other friends and other things and the robot and other animals and stuff like that, and sort of finding his love and camaraderie and other animals and stuff like that. I think that's an important message, because not everybody comes from this wholesome nuclear family where everybody is together and everything is just wonderful. Sometimes you do find your family later in life with friends or with people that you have these other bonds with. And, you can consider them family too. So I like that little message in there too. I like what Fink the Fox represented to this group. And just back to Lupita and her performance as Roz, I just really liked, there were just a lot of funny parts situationally because of how this robot was acting or how this robot would analyze something, or the robot just saying what's on its mind, and the reactions of other people, and this whole idea of the other animals, and this whole idea about programming and how you may be programmed to do this. You may have been taught that this is your nature, or this is what you're supposed to do, or this is the only way you can do things. But that whole message about being more than your programming, I thought was really cool. Being more than just what these central ideas are, what this thought is of what you're supposed to be, or what someone or background or whatever is telling you to be, and being more about what you are and kind of rising above what you're supposed to be and just being what you are. I think that that's very important. And I just like how that message was displayed here. And then when we got to the big conflict where the Dynamics company came back after her, after Roz, that kind of was interesting too. They didn't tell you everything about this company, but you knew that they produced these robots. And when I'm just going to call her the bad robot, even though she was just more like a company robot performing functions, kind of wasn't evil per se, but was just kind of performing her prime directives. But when she scanned Roz and realized that Roz had all these experiences and all these other things that had happened and all this data that was collected, yeah, I could see a company thinking, oh, that's valuable. We need to study that. This robot has had something happen that has never happened to a robot. They've lived in this completely different environment and sort of became something different entirely, that it wasn't supposed to be possible. But, there's a message here about how just because you come from this one thing and it's supposed to be this one thing, not necessarily the case. How your environment and what you care about and who you connect with and what you learn about can change you. And sometimes that can change the very nature of what you're supposed to be, So I think all of that is important and it's cool. And even though those are not things a child would get, me as an adult watching this, I thought that those were all really well done, well portrayed messages. And so when it extends it further, and the influence that Roz had made on this island and on these other animals and everything like that, and the fact that Roz could communicate with them and get them to understand, Roz's impact changed these animals. So that's what it was. It wasn't just as simple as everybody should eat everybody, but it was the fact that this robot had made such an influence on all those animals that that she was able to change the very thought process of how they saw themselves and how they interacted with each other. And during those harsh winters and everything, they called the truce because it was a necessity, because if we call the truce, we can all live. Versus, they made it a point to say that too. The truce was for the purpose of everybody living, for that winter or that harsh winter or whatever it was. And then the truce was over once winter was over. So they kind of said that. But even with the ins and the outs of that, I thought it was pretty cool how this robot, in growing to become something other than its programming, it also influenced and kind of inspired these animals to be more than their programming and what they're normally doing, instincts and all that kind of stuff. So it all kind of fit within the narrative and the confines of this story. So I liked what they did. I thought that it all kind of matched the story that it was trying to tell. So yeah, man, I just thought that all of those things were great. Really liked those messages. And overall, I think the story really works. And there were some heartfelt moments, like when Bright Bill finally called Ra's mom and everything. That was really cool, man. I thought that was a good moment. I wasn't sitting there bawling and crying, but I could understand if somebody did. I bet that was the part. When it got to that part, I was like, okay, this is probably the part that people are talking about. You know, I just imagine that when people were like, oh, you're going to cry, or, oh, it's going to pull at the heartstrings. I imagine that was the moment people were talking about when he finally called her mom and everything. So, you know, all that was cool, man. I thought, but overall, whether, you know, it didn't pull at me that hard or whatever, but I did appreciate the message and what it was trying to say and how all of these relationships went together. So thought that it was very, very, very well done.
That scene didn't get me at all. This was relatively light on any emotional sentiment to me. I'm not
a fan of appreciating the moms.
No.
You want to sit there going, oh, mama, that's cool.
No. I don't know. This isn't the type of movie or messaging that would ever really affect me. I can just watch these and just be like, yeah, I guess. No, nothing about it gets me. Like, I'm sitting here watching it, and honestly, I didn't even think about those being emotionally sentimental moments until you were talking about them. And I was like, oh, that part of it did not click whatsoever. Not even, like, most of the time I'd at least be able to recognize it. I'd be able to go, oh, okay, that's one of those emotional scenes. It does nothing to me, but I can at least recognize it. I did not even think about that being the emotional scene when he's like, Mom. No, didn't click whatsoever.
Damn, bruh. What about that part where the part that I think got me more was when Bright Bill was flying with the rest of them and Roz was there and wanted to give a final goodbye, but didn't. And then he was already flying away and Roz was just kind of there for a bit. Yeah. And then the eyes, and then she stays at that same spot for what seemed like the day had passed, like it was now, like it wasn't like daylight anymore, and was still there, like reflecting on him leaving. I was like, damn, man. Damn. Oh, Roz. Oh, that Roz. You know? Like,
I thought that was a little cliche and cheesy.
Damn.
I mean, I thought that was sweet. Like, honestly, it really, it was the mom thing, but also like with the cute little like forehead touches. It was so cute. But like, it was
the what?
The forehead touch, where they were like touching their foreheads.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put their heads up against each other. It was just really cute.
Yeah.
I think
you don't remember that.
I think you guys are lying. That
It
didn't
was
happen.
cute.
That
Come
didn't
on,
happen.
Scarlett, you know that was cute. You at least
But-
looked at it and went, "That's cute."
I don't even remember it happening, Justin.
Do you think that Bright Bill was cute even if you don't like geese?
Oh, fuck no.
Oh, Bright Bill was so cute.
No.
Little baby Bright Bill. So cute.
Baby Possum's cute. Baby Bright Bill, a little devil in the waiting. And not even the cool type of devil. I tend to side with the devils. And he wasn't even a cool little devil. He's a little fuck face of a goose.
I mean, and honestly though, another part that like almost got me too, it was honestly Fink. When Fink was at the end, like when she was leaving and he was like, well, I don't really have many friends. You're my first one. And what if I just want to talk to you about whatever? Like that was really sweet and also sad. That part kind of a little bit got me too.
Which that's all a fucking lie. All the animals on that island are now friends with him because he saved all their lives. And he was like the ex facto animal leader of the, hey, we're going to deny all our normal natural bullshit to live in a hut for the winter time.
Yeah, but like, I think he didn't think that that was true until after he said that. And then the big old bear was like, you can tell me. But still.
I forgot that scene was the thing.
Yeah, that
was
big old
so
bear
sweet.
stepped
These emotional scenes, if they don't click with me whatsoever, I don't even remember them because they do not register whatsoever.
That's fair.
When also in all actuality, man, that bear would have been hungry as fucking would just have ate him. Be like, you can tell me at dinner. You guys really thought the little fuck geese was a fucking cute thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as a baby.
Ugh. What kind of world do we
And
live
when
in?
especially when he was speaking
This is-
like the analytical language, like robotic language and stuff. I
I'm
thought
not gonna
that
lie.
was cool too. Like you could
fucking
hear the
hated that.
influence of Roz on him. Like
I hated
how he
that
would talk about
so
things and
much.
analyze
When
things
he's-
was super like robotic.
He's like,
that was cool.
he's like, analyzing, beep boop, beep boop. Like, fuck you, you're a geese. Shut up.
But the part too, when he was like trying to help build the little house and with his tiny little sticks, it was so cute.
It was so annoying. I was with Roz in that scene when she was all annoyed as fuck with him.
That was funny.
Then Roz lost me when she just like gave in and was like, okay. See, this is why I can't be a father.
I guess not, because it you totally missed that. It was just them working together and building confidence with the kid, and you know that's what that was. It's
No,
teaching the kid life lessons and stuff.
I have
And
the-
you just dismissed all of it and say it's all
I
stupid.
have the horrible mentality my father had of quit annoying me so we can get it done. We're just going to do it. We're going to do it right. Quit your bullshit. Yeah, I can't be a father. That's all this movie's proven to me.
I mean, but what about simple tasks? Your father never was in there with you and helped you make oatmeal or some shit.
No, not like that. That is like, Jastin, do you know how my family made oatmeal? This will blow your mind. This is how my family made oatmeal. It's so much so that outside of like overnight oats, this is still how I make oatmeal to this day. You know, a lot of people will mix milk or water with it and they'll microwave it, or they'll boil.
That's how I do it.
Or they'll boil water, or they'll get really hot milk and they'll mix it. No, I go to the faucet and I turn the faucet to as hot as the water faucet gets. So just hot tap water. And I use that to make my oatmeal. And it also can't be like thick oatmeal. No. I have to add it until it's essentially like if you had
Soupy.
Yeah, it's soup. It's oatmeal soup with just slightly above warm tap water. That is how I make oatmeal to this day.
See, I do it the other ways you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I like it kind of thick.
Yeah, most people do.
Thick. I like the oatmeal with some meat on its bones.
Especially people that once they stop being a child and they could actually do things like boil water or milk or any of that stuff. No. My parents taught me how to make it that way. I developed a way of liking it that way. And I have not deviated from it in 35 years.
So you couldn't relate to Roz and Bright Bill in that moment. It didn't take you back to when your parents were like, young Sterling. You were like, what? And they were like,
do you know what young Sterling would have been doing in that? Probably fucking up. Because I was not a good kid.
Oh.
I would have probably ran away. I got lost, like legit separated from my family 2 different times in the same day in Florida. Once at a mall and once in NASA. Because you know what I would do if you were not paying 100% attention? I was one of those kids, those little white kids that their parents had to put a leash on. I'm one of those kids because I needed it.
Wow. So you were one of those white kids that like yelled at your parents and stuff?
No, I didn't yell at my parents.
I don't want that.
I just had a bad habit of not paying attention and wandering the fuck off.
Oh, okay.
Like I wouldn't yell and stuff like that. I just would get distracted and would just the world would pass me by. I think like I was notorious.
But was that just like the product of you just being a kid, or was that like ADHD, or I don't know, that might be a little personal, but I knew kids that were like that. They were easily distracted and they had like, they had conditions.
Yes.
It wasn't just
Jastin. I have
bullshit.
I am not what the kids would call neurotypical. I am neurodivergent. I do have ADHD and all that. That is one of the reasons why when I sit there and watch a movie like this, I go, no, the bear would fucking eat them all. Yes, that's all actually the same thought process as it come from it. But no, but like a lot of it was that like I just would disappear because like I would go off with my parents, right? So like say we're all like together. My mom was walking over here to look at something, and like because one of them, like I said, was at NASA. It was in the gift shop. Nobody realized it. I would with her, right? So I'm walking behind her to go look at something. And so while she's looking at one thing, I start looking at another. What happens? She didn't know I was following her and that I'm like one shelf away from her. So she turns around and walks back. I'm now in a completely different section of them. And then I'm like, oh, let me go look at this thing. And I start looking at things. And I am a small child. And, it's NASA. So I don't know. It's probably some freeze-dried ice cream or some bullshit. I don't know. And I'm like, I want this from the gift store. And I turned to like, tell my parents I want it. And they're not there. I start walking around and no one's there. Took a while. But yeah, eventually I had to find an employee and they had to do some words over an intercom. And my parents came and got me. Later that same day, we were at a mall in somewhere else in Florida. I did the same thing. We were all standing like in the food court or something, like trying to like figure out where to eat or where we were going to go or whatever. And I just saw something in the store and went, oh, I want to go look at that, and just walked the fuck off.
How old were you again?
I would have been around 6 at this point. 6 or 7. And so I just walked the fuck off. They had to, once again, they started calling, my parents realized I was missing at that point, and they went to, there was one of those malls that it had a carousel in it. And they went to like the carousel and were like, can you call this our child's name? Because he's missing. And so I'm like standing there in a toy store and like over the mall speakers, I hear my name. I'm like, oh, I guess I need to go to the carousel. And I went over there and my parents were like, Sterling, what the fuck are you doing? You've literally gotten lost in a different state twice in the same day. So if it was something like this, like the very specific instance of building the hut, I either would have, when nobody was paying attention, would have like, oh, I'm going to go look for a stick. And then I would have found a stick and I would have gone, oh, this would be a really great stick. But what if there's a better stick over there? And I would have just kept walking, looking for a better stick. And then I would have just been lost in a forest. It would be either that or I would think I could do something. And I would try to put in a stick or try to take out a stick to fix it. I would like focus on a stick. Like, I don't think this stick should be in this position. And so I would try to fix it and then break it. Very notorious for that. Because especially as a kid, because I, didn't understand that things aren't always supposed to be how I think they should be. And I don't mean like, oh, it's my way or the highway. It's just like legitimately, like the way something's structured, I'm staring at it and going, I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be this way, which is like, like little kid experiment brain and stuff like that. No, yeah, it breaks shit a lot. Because it didn't comprehend to me that like, maybe if I'm bending something, like maybe I shouldn't. Because it's not like I wouldn't take something not bending as maybe I shouldn't bend it. It would just make me think I need to bend it a different way because it will get how I want it to. And then it'd break and I go, oh. So yeah, I wouldn't have been good at that. And so no, my dad wouldn't have treated me like that. So I wouldn't have treated Goose like that, especially not a fucking goose. I've been like, man, I'm going to get you big enough till I can roast you. Get my own Christmas goose.
Oh, come on.
Also, God, this movie was such a lie. When they were like, oh, if you don't get him out of here by Christmas, he's going to die. Motherfucker, he would have just lived in that hut with all the other animals. He'd have been just fine if he never flew away. I get that that's not the point of the movie. I'm just saying it's all a lie. That's right, Jastin. This movie lied to you. How does that make you feel?
They said he would die?
Yeah. They're like, if he doesn't get out of here by the time all the goose leaves, he'll die. Like the possum lady legit says that to Roz as giving her objectives. He's got to like something. He's got to learn to swim and he's got to learn to fly or he's going to die.
Oh, I guess that maybe in the sense that if he tried to migrate with the other geese, he just wouldn't. Well, he wouldn't have the physical tools to survive. Well, no, I don't think they meant he would just stand there in the snow and just die. Of course he would have went in there with them or whatever. But I think what they were saying is if he tried to migrate and do what he is naturally inclined to do with the other geese, he wouldn't have had the tools to be able to do that. He would not have survived trying to migrate with them, I think was the point of that.
But he only wanted to migrate because Ross told him. It wasn't like
he would go, it's Christmas. He would look at his watch and go, it's Christmas, and just drop dead. I think it was more like if he tried to migrate, he would not make it.
I want to see the alternate cut of this movie where it's like Christmas Eve. And he's like, no, look, I can just stay in here and everything's fine. And then actually just a hunter comes up and kills him to make Christmas goose. And so he does die by Christmas.
You never even had goose.
I've eaten goose.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's kind of fatty to me. It's kind of like an oily meat. I don't know. I might not have had well-prepared goose. I have eaten goose.
But it's not like gator?
No. It is it's a bird. It's not a reptile.
But I mean,
It's
you know
closer.
how gator has that
If I'm
texture. Does goose have a weird texture?
it's kind of like duck and turkey. Like,
But not like deer.
no. Like, why'd you go to deer? Like,
I'm trying to think of things I've
it's
had.
a fucking bird.
I'm trying to compare.
Jastin just looks scared. He was like afraid that it would be like a deer.
A guy.
Yeah, I really don't want it to taste to be something weird.
No, the vendor. One of the vendors that I deal with at work, he goes goose hunting, and every once in a while he'll give me like a little thing of goose breast. Yeah, it's fine.
But not chicken.
It's like other chicken. It's still kind of chickeny. It's
Chicken adjacent.
yeah. It's just got a different flavor profile, but texturally speaking, it's kind of like chicken.
Does it taste more like light or dark meat?
What I had was slightly kind of a little bit more dark meatish.
Okay, so it's
The better part of the chicken.
got a little more so it's kind of got a little more flavor to it.
Yeah.
It's not as dry.
I hate white meat chicken so much.
I like it, but
Yeah, I eat it because that's pretty much everything. Like you can't go to
yeah.
you can't go to fucking, like Popeyes and get that chicken thigh sandwich. I wish you could, because that'd be so much better. And I agree with you, Jastin. Like the dark meat tends to be more moist. It's harder to try it out. Typically, it's because it's got more fat around it. But
Okay.
like, yeah, my favorite thing's chicken thigh. Chicken thigh is super good. Want some crisp bacon and chicken thighs? I can't believe you went to deer. Like gator, I kind of get, because how people say it tastes like chicken. It doesn't, but people say it. It's because texturally speaking, it's close to chicken.
Yeah, I didn't get chicken either when I ate it. I thought it was good, but
yeah,
it is way different. It had a way different kind of texture. And so that's why I was wondering if goose was something kind of weird, like not that it would taste like a gator, but just texture wise, I wondered if it was kind of,
you know what else is in that realm
like that.
of gator texture? Frog, people constantly say frog kind of tastes like that, but also guinea pig. So the reason why like gator and guinea pig and frog and sometimes rabbit, but to a lesser extent, gets compared to chicken in that regard is it's the type of tissue, like the way the muscles are used. So since chickens are non-flying birds, the muscles are used differently, and they tend to end up being closer to the same things of like gator and guinea pigs and stuff like that, with the way just the muscles are structured. People end up thinking they just end up being similar.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I guess it kind of makes sense.
Although I haven't had guinea pig. It's a delicacy in some places. I want to eat it. I want to eat some guinea pig at one point. Some guinea pig, some rabbit. Yep. Rabbit's slightly more understandable. There are places that actually serve it here. I want to eat it. I can't wait for them to finish cloning woolly mammoths so I can eat that too. I want to eat some woolly mammoth. Doesn't that just sound fun?
Had any of those. I've had venison. I've had buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. I had a buffalo burger. That was pretty damn good.
Yeah, buffalo is very good.
Had oysters. I don't know if that really counts. That's probably more like seafood.
It is. It's not more like seafood, Justin. It kind of just is seafood.
Gator.
I've had alligator before. I don't know that I've had. I feel like at some point I must have had venison, but I can't remember.
What about bison? Have you had bison?
Not me.
What the fuck are we doing?
I don't know. It was still your turn, right, Sterling?
I think it's Heather's turn.
Oh, it was Heather. You were talking about somehow we were talking about the cuteness of Bright
Bill.
Beak and somehow Bright Bill, sorry. And somehow we got here.
The only things that were cute in this were the little baby possums.
They were funny though. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Oh, he's definitely dead.
Yeah.
they were just constantly. They
You
were
didn't think
funny.
Fink was cute?
No. He's just standard cartoon fox.
Yeah, Fox is cute.
I don't really think foxes are cute.
I mean, the thing I liked about Fink, I will say, is he seemed very much like a fox. And like with the things he would say, he's just like trying to eat everything and like just looking out for himself. And it was funny.
I felt like it was Pedro Pascal being like a furry trying to fuck.
I mean, I could see how you got that. Yeah.
Because he's all sitting there doing like, I'm a fox.
Yeah. He was a fun character and he was an interesting character. And even though like he still kind of stuck to his, fox ways, you could tell that he learned from Roz too. And like, I don't know. I just found his character intriguing. And I think like what I liked about the whole Roz storyline is that obviously because she is a robot, like she's very mission and goal oriented, and they make that such a huge part of what this movie is, where she's just like, what task can I complete for you? I'll always complete my task. And I just really liked that, even though like I think that it was kind of a cool thing that even though she was obviously a robot, she wasn't cold. She wasn't specifically cold, even before she did start thinking like from her heart and had the connections with the characters. I do think that, she wasn't a cold, just like, I feel like that's a trope that you get a lot of times with robotic characters of, they're just very cold and like, I don't care about anything. But like, because she was programmed to be like a helpful robot, she did have that quality of still caring, and I liked that. I thought that was a cool little kind of character quirk to give to this robot character in this. And I think that it was a really cool thing to see her transformation, and that line they continue to say of, I'm remembering with a different part of me, talking about having a heart and remembering and holding things in her heart instead of just in her brain. And I did like that transition in the story, and how, yes, she started being even warmer the more kind of human she got, if you will. She still felt very much like her. And it was just a very, I guess I would say, like captivating, really sort of like way to do her, because she's just not, even though there's always going to be these stories about robots and like all these things, I feel like it was still done different enough. And I don't know, it just makes you really care about her as a character. And I really just like the concept that she was like, oh, I'm not your mom, but clearly doing all of the things that like a mom would do for a little baby. And it was cute. And she was like naive, even though she was supposed to be this super smart robot. Like it just meant that, oh, she was actually more human than she thought, even before she knew that. And Bright Bill was a really good character because I like what you said, Jastin, about how it was like, I had to work harder than anybody else. I had to do more to be on the level of what everybody else like me was already on. So already feeling that misfit thing of, I don't have my own family of people that look like me, but also being a runt, essentially. And it was really, that was a cool take that you said about it too, where it was like, you liked the story of him working hard for that. And I did too. I think that was really cool, where he just really had this determination in him. But I feel like that determination, it really was part of being raised by Roz, because Roz was always like, listen, I will always complete something I start. And I think that was just sort of this trait that, because he was with her from the beginning of his life, just took with him. And even if he did have moments of like, no, I'm not going to do this, he just needed one simple little push from Roz and he was back on it, because I think that was like a core ingrained thing in him, even if he didn't know it. And that was a really cool thing to see play out as well. And just how brave he was, even like after he learned how to fly and he was doing all these things, he still was like, no, I'm going to go back for my family. I'm going to go help my family out. And really all the underestimation that others had, or that even in himself that he had, like he underestimated himself a lot. And then you see him being so heroic and brave because he realized that his family mattered more. And just seeing all of these little elements that Roz put into him without even trying, being his caretaker, and how that came full circle to when she needed him. And yeah, I thought that was just like a really beautiful thing. And what I was talking about earlier, when I say like the way that they formatted this film was slightly different, is the whole thing of her teaching Bright Bill how to fly and the whole thing of, this is my task, this is my mission, this is what I'm set out to do. The payoff of that, and like just the whole concept of, oh, you have the montage of him learning it, but he quickly learns how to fly on the level and got these flying lessons and was on the same level as these other geese so fast in the movie. Like, to me, I feel like typically in movies like this, that's like the end of the movie. That's what the whole movie is about, is him learning these skills. And then, oh, you're going off on your own and you're being your own person. The end. That's the movie. So I thought it was interesting, but in a good way, to make that not the only thing this movie was about. Because there was so much, that was halfway through the movie, I think, that happened. And it was just really a smart way to format this, because you feel like that's all the investment that you're going to get, but you get so much more beyond that because there's so much more movie left. And instead of it just becoming about, oh, this robot that teaches this goose how to fly, it's about like, oh no, this robot is actually like saving all of these other creatures and learning how to be a free robot in a sense, instead of just, I'm doing what I'm programmed to do, like learning from being in the wild with all these animals. And the second half of that is so much more about that part of it. And yeah, it's almost like you get two stories in one, but they still seamlessly really like click them together. And I really liked it because, again, like most of the time, that's what you get at the end of a movie is what we got halfway through, but it didn't feel long. And maybe because they segmented it out where there was two different like main points to this movie or story points to this movie, you don't feel like it's a long movie, or you don't even feel like it's not cohesive because they do that. So yeah, I was impressed by the way that they did that with this movie. And maybe that's one reason why I think it is a little bit more unique than other stories like it, because you're getting beyond the predictable thing that you're expecting from the movie. But yeah, other than that, I mean, yeah, I just think there's not really a whole lot else that can really be spoiled about this movie. But yeah, I just really wanted to point that out because that just stood out to me about this movie. So yeah, that was the only other things I had to say about it.
That was a good point you made about the road, how him working hard, a lot of that was ingrained in Roz because of her wanting to complete. I didn't draw that conclusion, but I didn't make that connection. But now that you say that, that makes a lot of sense. So that was a very good observation.
Fuck them geese. Man, I thought
Does it still sound like a slur?
I thought all those geese were going to get what they deserved. See, when you talk about what geese actually deserve, which is a real thing, you can't tell me I don't sound like I'm using a weird slur.
Which is a real thing. Oh, man.
Man, look at all those geese walking down the middle of the street up to no good.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It does have that weird feel to it.
All those geese walking around and just shitting everywhere. Getting in front of cars, trying to bite people, which they do. I thought all of them were going to get what they deserved, though, when that island got lit on fire. I thought it was just going to be called Roast Goose Island after that. I was like, don't tempt me with a good time, movie. Killing a bunch of geese.
I still stand by Bright Bill was super cute.
It was an ugly little stupid goose. Also, you know what? Fuck this movie for trying to be so prejudicial against runts. My little baby girls, Lilith and Abizu, were runts. You know what they were? Best damn cats ever. I mean, Lil still is. She's still alive. Best damn cat ever. No runt about them. You know what they did? They went and did cat shit. Weren't going. They weren't letting no being runts holding them back. Do you know what my little girl, the little runt, does? She fights her brother. That's a good 2.4 times bigger than her. And she fucking fights him. You know why? Because being a runt don't matter. She's just a little smaller, that's all. Just a little smaller. She's just, a panther, but smaller. Why were they acting like, oh, you're a runt? That means it's, you might not be able to fly. No, they could still fly. They're like the same, but small. It's not like they're going, oh, if you're a goose, you have to be this big to fly. Oh, man, it's so crazy that a goose that's not as big as all the other goose can still fly. This movie's all pro-goose, anti-runt. Man, fuck this movie.
Well, that's why I think the scene that was powerful whenever, who was the other bird that was training? Was it Longbeak or
which one? The other bird or the other goose?
Thunderbird or the other goose?
The other goose
was, or was it an owl?
Well, so that's the thing is there were two different birds. There was the owl that was like Thunderbeak, and the other one was like Long Neck or something.
Long Neck.
Long Neck was the goose that liked him, but the owl is what I'm talking about. That was another reason why I really liked that scene because the owl was like, those wings may be small, but they're sturdy. He said a lot of things to Bright Bill to make him realize that, yeah, you may be different from them, but you're special too. your wings can flap this way, or, they're sturdier. You can maintain your balance better. You can control yourself in the air better because of the way your wings are. I also really liked that part too. That owl didn't tear him down and say, well, yeah, you're just a runt and you're stupid and you're small. And, oh, what are you going to do about it, little scrap? Are you going to fight to be one of the other geese? Or are you going to, I like how that owl was like, no, don't look at what you are as a disadvantage. Look at yourself and see the advantages. You may be different from them, but you got to fly your own way, And I think the fox said that too. Don't fly like them, fly your own way. All that shit was tight, So I thought that was cool too. Just kind of letting you know to see the special in you, that even if other people don't see it that way.
But also the thing I don't like about that is that owl lied to him. Because that owl's like, you're not stupid. It is stupid. It's a goose. You should, if you're doing anything, you should be tearing it down. Because it's a goose. I bet
you're awesome at parties. Just a downer. Just a Debbie Downer.
What are you talking about, Jastin? I'm amazing at parties. You know why? I don't go to fucking parties with geese.
Oh, man.
You make it sound like my anti-geese material. It's just controversial.
You're just being real geesist about it.
I am. I you know what? I'm going to stand here today and look everybody in the eye and go, I, Sterling Condre, am a geesist. Yeah, that's right. I'm a geesist.
Damn.
I'm fine with ducks. I'm fine with swans. But geese, fuck them geese. Why couldn't they have just been ducks? Why did they have to be geese? Maybe that's why I don't like this movie. There's so many geese. But it could have just been ducks.
Why is a duck way better for you? I don't understand. Why do you like ducks better?
Ducks are scientifically proven to be nicer than geese. And I'm not even joking about that. Geese are gigantic assholes. They are gigantic assholes. They are insanely territorial. They're highly aggressive. And when I say they're territorial, it's not like they have a spot and you go and invade it. No. They get next to your car and then go, fuck you, and attack you. Because they walk up to you. They walk up to you going, fuck you, my territory, and attack you.
So they're like the humans of animals.
They're worse.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, they're just shitty as fuck. They try to bite so much. Like,
so if it had been ducks, you would have been fine with it.
Yeah,
that
probably.
Was the only thing. That was the only element.
Dude, I have legit.
If it was the same story, it's just if it was a duck, a mallard.
Dude,
everything would be fine.
I have been carrying boxes out to my truck at work and gotten accosted by geese. You know what the ducks have never done? Fucking accosted me.
Man, so that's a real trauma. See, I didn't know this about you. I didn't know that you were accosted by geese. I didn't know that. Man.
Because you've never been around a dude. If you've just been around a goose, you've been accosted. That's what they do. I mean, I'm not blaming you, Jastin. You live in Midland, Texas. They're not known for the geese. I'm just saying there's a lot of geese here right now. Every day when I go to work, I end up seeing no less than 35 geese.
Wow. They don't just be chilling. I mean, you see them on TV, they just be chilling.
Yeah, they're.
looking
You know
around,
what they're doing?
gawking and
Chilling.
shit.
They're chilling in the middle of the fucking street. And you know what they do when you like drive up next to them and like honk your horn? You know, because you don't want to just like be a murderer. Because you're not a geese, so you're not an asshole just trying to murder shit. They just stare at you and honk. I've had a goose like try to peck my fucking car because I was trying to not murder it. Oh, I'm such a dick. Not trying to murder the geese. And it fucking attacked my car. Yeah, that's what geese really are, Jastin. Dickheads.
Just ran into the wrong goose. That goose just wasn't having it.
Jastin, that's all of them. I'm not trying to stereotype or nothing, but one geese, 27
one
geese,
bad
they're all
apple,
the same.
Sterling. This is one bad apple.
Dude, no, it's a whole bad bunch. It's just a bad fruit.
I will say that there's been many times like on side roads, like if I'm going home, like there'll be a bunch of geese in the middle that you can't go past. And so like can hold up the road behind you because they just take their sweet time going across. They have no regard for anybody else going on around them.
And I'm all for sharing the shared spaces with the geese. The problem is they only do that like in winter. So they're like, oh, there might be ice in the ground and you might slide into it and murder yourselves and murder people and even still murder us because we're being a hazard. Bring it. I'm going to send you a picture of all the geese at work tomorrow. Okay. Especially late in the day, like when it starts turning night. Dude, I'll go outside, like I can just take a picture. 30-something geese. In the middle, most of them, of the 30 geese, 28 of them are in the road.
Yikes.
Like a bunch of
I always thought they were
dicks.
nice.
No, that's a duck. Ducks are nice. You know what? The funny thing is I've been bit by a duck when I was younger. I didn't understand the concept of throwing the bread. So I kind of just held it out. And a duck bit my hand.
Damn.
And notice to this day how I'm still like, hey, no, ducks are fine. You know,
They don't hold up traffic.
yeah. They don't just attack me. Like I brought that on myself. But me just trying to go to my car, they're like, fuck that guy.
Well, also, just society-wise, there's hella raw ducks. I mean, Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Scrooge McDuck, Darkwing Duck, Gizmo Duck, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, the Mighty Ducks. I mean, there's hella raw ducks. I mean, when you think about it, society's just been more acceptable of ducks.
And think about the most famous goose. The
Mother
goose from
Goose.
Top Gun.
Oh.
And he's dead.
I think Mother Goose has him, though. It's Mother Goose. Isn't Mother Goose the most popular goose? And Mother Goose is nice. She's motherly and shit.
That's the only other goose I can think of other than Goose from Maverick or Top Gun. But yeah.
Man, I can't think. You know what I think of every time somebody says Mother Goose? I think of Little
What?
Richie. Do you guys not remember that like rock and roll Mother Goose or whatever?
Oh, man. Yes, I remember that.
He was in it. That man has said some crazy shit. Like I know he became kind of like semi like evangelical later on in his life, but there was a big section of his life where he's like, you put a person in front of me, I'm fucking it. Man, woman, I don't give a fuck. I fuck it. And then he's like, and then I'll just do cocaine off him. Go back to fucking him. He's a crazy man. And then my fondest memory of him is in a childhood musical thing about Mother Goose. What was that show called? Was that Rockin' Mother Goose or whatever?
I do not remember.
Little Richard Mother Goose. That's from Mother Goose Rockin' Rhyme.
You were close, yeah.
Man, it has Shelley Duvall, Little Richard, Cyndi Lauper, Howie Mandel, Deborah Harry, Paul Simon, Bobby Brown, Art Garfunkel, Woody Harrelson, Cheech, Gary Shandling. Man, everybody's in this fucking thing.
Dang, everybody was in that.
Katie Seagal.
Yeah, just jamming with Mother Goose.
Half,
See, that's why she's the goat goose. You know what I'm saying?
half ZZ Top. Man, all of ZZ Top. Never mind, all of ZZ Top. Man, Randy Jackson. Randy Jackson.
Wow.
Man,
Where can I
that's a
watch this?
star-studded cast.
Where can I watch this? Like, where is it on streaming? Ooh, going to TV. Man, we need to fucking end this episode. Anybody else got anything? What the fuck are we doing
I'm
with
good.
our lives?
No, I don't know what we're
Talking
doing
about
now.
fake geese and ducks.
It's the fucking 1
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. I'm
What are we
rambling at
doing
this
here?
point.
What is happening?
On that note, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. Check us out on the internet at www.cinemaslayers.com. We are on Facebook at Cinema Slayers podcast. We are at cinema_slayers on Letterboxd, on Instagram, on Threads. We are at Cinema Slayers Pod on TikTok and YouTube. We are also officially, as of just the other day, you can find us at cinemaslayerspod.bsky.social. Yes, that is Blue Sky. That is the Twitter replacement that is actually blowing up, getting roughly 1 million new users a day. I have made sure Cinema Slayers is on that. We have exactly no post yet because it's that fucking brand new. But there will be. We're going to start posting on that. I'll make sure we get some posts on that. Because like I said, it's the big new social media. It really is. You know what it is? It's Twitter before like the Nazis completely took it over and made it a complete hellscape.
And what is this called
Blue Sky?
again? Blue Sky.
Yeah, Blue Sky.
Okay.
So it really is. The only problem I have with it thus far is the usernames are trash. Because it's at cinemaslayerspod.bsky.social. So every username is the handle .bsky.social. I'm like, that's kind of garbage. But you know what? If there's less Nazis, you know what? I'll take that.
It's worth it.
It is. But give us a 5-star rating and review. We'd really appreciate it. Really help us out. Sorry, I was stumbling around so much at the beginning of that. It's because I was trying to get onto our Blue Sky so I could say what the fuck the social thing was at the end of it. Because it doesn't roll off the tongue. Shout out to Plug Migo and Mundo Cho for our theme song and logos respectively. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' family, tell your family's friends. And most of all, tell dear sweet mothers, because dear sweet mothers love.
Pedro Pascal?
I was going to say being mothers.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, because Roz was his mom.
Yeah.
I was trying to tie into the thing that you guys said you liked.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I missed it.
Yeah, just like I missed it in the movie. See, it happens. We here at the Cinema Slayers podcast are pro slut, pro Sydney, pro naked. You. Yes, you Cinefans, you are enough. Justice for Chris, justice for Todd, justice for all those amazing, amazing stunt people. You know who else? Justice for all these animators. And all the people that have to draw all this shit and animate this shit. Even if with the computer, that's still hours and hours of work to make these movies. Yeah, justice for the animators. Like, think about it. Think about all the people that made Roz come to life and made Fink come to life, and everybody's just like, oh, Pedro Pascal.
Yep, that's a good point.
He's just the voice. Think about all the people it took to make him else a character. Justice for the animators. I think that's it. Right? That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I will say this. Somebody brought up Henry Kissinger the other day and something. It made me really nervous. Like, I don't know why you would do that. So I went and checked. He's still dead.
Good. Jastin looked real worried for a minute.
Yeah. That's a fair reaction.
That. I was like, oh no.
They were like acting like I was reading something and somebody was like, you know, he had a family and kids. And I'm like, yeah, so did all the people he murdered. Like,
valid.
Like, you know how you don't get me to care about your family and your friends and all that other stuff? Committing war crimes. Like, you know, maybe it makes me a cold, callous son of a bitch, but you know what? If anybody's going to try to resurrect him, it's his family and friends. I've got my eyes on them. I just want to make sure none of them are necromancers. I don't want them raising a lich. Priorities, people. Priorities. And as always in this podcast, the YouTube videos and the TikToks, just remember, according to Jastin. Yes, Jastin. Moon Knight is the Best Picture winner. See, this is what happens when we do so long between recordings. All the weird fucked up things in my brain have to come out. It got built up for too long, guys.
I'm kind of guilty too. I was probably egging it on with all my weird mentions.
I sent over Gladstone Gander.
What the fuck is Gladstone Gander?
It's a cartoon goose.
From what?
I don't know, but I've seen him before. I sent a picture in our chat, but I just feel like
what the fuck are you talking about? That's not no Gladstone goose. That's motherfucking Daffy Duck in a fucking green suit.
It just feels like that name is something like Jastin would just randomly pull.
It's also
this character.
It's also an Irish stereotype. And also,
Oh.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying.
Fuck that little baby goose motherfucking picture you put in the group chat before that too. Just so everybody knows, it's a picture of Fuckface the goose from this movie. What'd you say his name was? Fuckface. Am I saying that right? Am I pronouncing that right? Fuckface?
No.
All right, one more time. Fuckface. Got it.
I know I remember Gladstone from something.
Yeah, dude, he was probably a fucking Daffy Duck cousin.
That's what, okay, yeah, Walt Disney. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He was in some Daffy stuff.
Yeah, I could tell by looking how much it looks like Daffy that he's just a fucking Daffy Duck cousin in a fucking episode of something. Kind of like Scrooge.
It just feels like a deep cut character that Jastin would somehow pull out of somewhere.
You know why he didn't?
He's right up my alley.
Because he don't really like fucking geese.
Man, I'm fine. Like, I like Mother Goose.
All right, Justin, we're
Come
going to
on.
do.
Now, you're not going to sit here and say something bad about Mother Goose. Who
What
doesn't
the
like
fuck
Mother
is Mother
Goose?
Goose really?
She brings the nursery rhymes. If it's not for her, she's the ambassador for the Mother Goose nursery rhymes. What's wrong with that?
How many nursery rhymes are there really? Let's be real.
I think there's hella, isn't there?
No, they have to be attributed or referenced with her. Come back to our
Wait,
next
what are the
episode,
nursery rhymes?
Cinefans.
Is a
Come back
nursery
to our
rhyme
next
like Little
episode.
Miss Muppet.
I
Is
will
that a
figure this
nursery
out.
rhyme?
Miss Muffet's a nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Little Miss Muffet sat on
Little
her tuffet, eating her curds and whey.
It's in way.
Along came her spider, sat down beside her, and then she fucked it or whatever the fuck the whole thing was. I don't remember. All right, it's real late. I went to this woman fucking a spider, guys. I've got nothing left.
Let's end it on that note. That's a great note to end it on.
Miss Muffet, fuck spiders. I'm out.